Hi.
Hey, how's it going?
Not bad. Kind of tired.
You okay?
Long day. Or, well, not a long day of work per se, but yeah. Just a little exhausted.
Yeah.
And it's weird.
What's weird?
Wait. Well, first off, you're feedbacking.
Oh, really? That's strange.
All right. Let's see. Has this happened before?
I don't think so. Everything seems fine on my end. Hey, Dominic, how's it going?
What's up, Rick?
Nothing really.
Oh, that would explain it. That the feedback was coming from me.
Oh,
I had the audio playing through, so that's why I stopped the chat for me, so it should be good.
yeah.
Oh God. I only worked 6 hours today, and somehow I managed to exhaust myself, which is weird. Which is weird for me because like I've been working. I did last week. I was working like 9 hours straight, and I didn't feel exhausted at all.
Still, Eric.
But this week, it's just like since Saturday, I've been like working 6 hours at most, and I'm still just coming back like, oh God, what did I just come back from?
What kind of work do you do?
I work as a houseman at the Home 2 Hotel in Stillwater. So basically, I'm in charge. In the morning, I'm in charge of cleaning the entire hotel, sans the rooms themselves. And then in the afternoon, I'm technically supposed to be helping everybody else, but usually I end up just completing up my work chores.
Yeah. I've been playing Fire Emblem Echo Shadows of Valentia.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm almost done with it.
That sounds fun.
Audio working?
Crystal clear, Broken Carpenter. How's it going?
Oh, fair to middling. I got a new set. I traded in the ones I had because it was instant. I took it out of the package. It was a wireless one, and the little thingy in the middle wasn't working, and one headphone was screwed up. There was a short in it. So I went back and said, well, they worked. This is cool, So I went ahead and upgraded to a pair of Skull Candy ones, but the battery on it doesn't seem to be charging, so I got to go back and return them. So it's been it's been interesting trying to deal with that. So I'm back to this is a good wired one, so I know I'm cool.
Cool.
So, surprisingly, despite all the zaniness that was last week, things have kind of quieted down.
Thank goodness. I mean, probably things are going to heat up tomorrow, though.
Maybe. Surprisingly, The only interesting thing that I've noticed this past weekend has been the surprising surgence in the number of people in the mainstream media who somehow, for some reason, want to have interviews with Vladimir Putin. Like, because they apparently think that something productive would come from that.
Sorry.
The corporate media. They're desperate for the attention now. Now they're getting to the very desperate side.
No, I'm just like, okay, even here I am. Like, even if I was a liberal, still identified as a liberal and was still in that clique, I'd still be questioning what would be the fucking good of interviewing Vladimir Putin. Like, just think about this from a logical perspective. Even if he did actually, even if he had, hacked the election, why on earth do you think interviewing him is going to make him somehow confess to it?
Are you guys talking about the Oliver Stone thing?
Oh, what Oliver Stone thing?
Wait, Oliver Stone's interviewing Putin?
Oh,
Yeah.
you didn't see this? I think it's on. Oh wait, I think it's on tonight on Showtime.
Is this Showtime?
Showtime?
Wait, he actually went to interview. Oh no! Oh, Oliver,
Did I
this
stop? Did it stop?
you went.
Okay.
All right, hold on a second.
He went full mainstream. You never go full mainstream.
Sorry, guys. As we get all more relaxed with each other, I wouldn't come on this camera before without like being all put together, and now I'm half asleep. I flew home at 6 in the morning, and then I like slept for half the day.
Oh, by all
I'm kind
means.
of a mess. So this is the real me.
Don't.
No, it's okay.
Oh, sure. Okay. Let's see.
But I didn't want to miss stuff just because I'm kind of not real energetic. I wanted to sort of check in and.
Well, the good news is that not a lot's going on, at least. No significant blow-ups in social media. Surprisingly, people stopped the attack wave. So I guess we're in for a very long and boring night.
No, I doubt that. Hang on one sec.
We can still make the night fun.
Like, there's only so many times we can joke about the mainstream media trying to become best friends with Vladimir Putin before it gets old.
No, I'm going to try to find
think,
that Showtime thing for, it's something, I love Oliver Stone, especially because he's so controversial like that. But yeah, I believe it's on Showtime, and it may be a couple-part series or something. But anyway, I haven't had a chance. I sort of caught wind of the whole conversation. I think it's Zach Holler and, of course, the same progressive lady kind of talking about the People's Summit and who was left out of it. And I really have to dig down in that because I have no idea what to even think of that right now.
That's probably the best way to look at it.
Yeah, I mean, we walked out of the stadium thing.
Okay, thank you.
And I think I talked to you guys the first night. Yeah. Anyway, so the Saturday night that Bernie spoke was when Tim had a whole bunch of people come up to him that are running for office that want to talk to him, which I think is fantastic. I think that was the bulk of his interviews, although he did talk to Nina Turner. I guess you guys all saw that.
Yeah.
But I think that's great because these guys, I mean, they were all running up and giving him and his wife and me their cards, and they want to come in and talk to him. And I think that's great. Like, interview people. They're fired up, running for office.
Did anyone
guys that, like, oh my God, they know so much. One of them was like working on student debt stuff and the corporatization of universities. I mean, he was just looking, just dying for people to talk to about it. So that was really cool. And I think that's a great way for Tim to go forward. But of course, I guess he's still on the road. So I've got little bits and pieces. They were in Indiana, but I haven't heard that much. So
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm so tired. When we got out of the stadium was when I overheard some lady saying this was Soros funded or something, and I was like, okay, I've heard this before, and like it was like a right winger making a joke and trying to start at some protest out west and trying to start up like rumors that was true. Broken, I bet you know more about that stuff than I do.
Well, what that whole sorry about that. The whole that Soros argument.
Yeah,
I mean,
people they try to start that just to get. I don't know. I don't think that this.
I unless somebody shows me like pay stubs and stuff, I mean, some of the stuff, sure. I mean, as far as sort of big league screwing around, but minor league spats here and there in towns, he ain't involved in that crap. But I would think he wouldn't be involved in that crap. But oh, hell spells. Hey, today they're talking about maybe firing Mueller.
Oh.
And yeah, that's like a gigantic move, man.
Yeah, I haven't heard any of that. I flew back and.
No, that was like towards the end of the day. CNN had it on.
Okay.
He's talking about that. Between that, and he also Trump did this crazy, ludicrous, like boardroom thing where he had his whole cabinet together. And first thing he did was bitched about how it took so long to get his cabinet seated. Well, part of the reason it took so long is because he didn't have anybody, like, he didn't have a list ready. He didn't get his list from Goldman Sachs directly or from Bank of America like Obama did, but still, he still didn't have like real serious people to put in these places. And so, a lot of them had a tough time getting through Congress, even though the Republicans own it and everything else. So.
Nah, I'm good, but thank you, Dad.
Well,
I just
Love you. That's a lot.
Anybody? Sorry, no, you're moderating. You go.
Oh, I'm good.
And then, and then Chuck Schumer actually did pull off humor today. I gotta say, I hate to give him any credit for anything, but he did pull off a pretty humorous video.
That's good.
the first time in his life.
Yeah, well, hey, I gotta give you, I grudgingly give credit. So.
Well, I was gonna say maybe he got it from his niece, Amy Schumer, but I don't find her very funny anymore. So
She's not funny at all.
no, just kind of obnoxious. But anyway, so I guess I just wanted to say, like, because I like I said, I haven't had a chance to dig in and see what all is being said, and there's been more spats. I know I did see when we were in the auditorium thing before Bernie spoke, I saw a tweet where that caller was kind of giving Jimmy Dore shit, and I was like, oh no, what's going on? But I just haven't had time to dig into it. But I just wanted to say that my feeling about the People's Summit was not that it was a DNC event. Now, it's true that there wasn't, Shama Sawant wasn't there. There wasn't a big Green Party, you could say that, yeah, there were a lot of people missing. It wasn't a socialist,
Hi, Eric's friends.
My mom says hi.
Do what?
My mom says hi.
Oh, hi. Hi, Mom. But
We need to see.
so it's kind of hard to explain because I didn't have that feeling. I keep joking, like there wasn't a Neera Tanden booth, so I didn't have that feeling. It wasn't like that. But there was something to me about, I think it was seeing all these young guys running for office and their enthusiasm and just going, I just thought to myself, God, I hope they don't get sucked up into this machine. That was kind of my feeling, and I don't really know if I was just being sort of pessimistic, or I mean, because all the people there that came, I would say it's a lot of good energy, people working really hard. I think I might have said this already, but I got to meet Nick Brana and his dad, who was really cool, and he's so proud of Nick for doing the draft Bernie thing. But a lot of great people, and I didn't feel like a DNC convention, but of course TYT was there.
Of course.
So, I mean, what's going on behind the scenes, I don't know. And of course, I have a lot of concerns about, is the DNC just salivating, going, "Oh, look at this group we've got here. We can just suck all this. We can just go, hey, look, Trump's scary again, and get all these people on board." But I know I said this before. The mood in that room of the people, the regular people that came there for all those workshops and everything, the mood of that, I'm telling you, the anti-Trump stuff was cheering, but the anti-establishment Democrat was roaring, like very much like, no, we are against that. I mean, it was shaking the roof. It was so loud, So the sentiment of the people on the ground there is not like we just are just gonna be absorbed into the Democratic Party without them changing. The sentiment of the
Yeah,
people
sorry, hold on.
not like we just are just gonna be absorbed.
Oh,
You're on.
Sorry, go ahead. Didn't mean to barge in. She was on a roll. Sorry. Aloha.
aloha.
Yeah, I couldn't hear.
I feel like we just massively lost our train of thought right here.
No, I couldn't hear very well. Was that Stevie talking?
No,
It's Joey.
Joey. Okay, I don't see it on the screen.
It's James. Joey.
So sorry if I couldn't hear. I didn't mean to talk over someone. Are they still there?
Yeah.
We're listening to you.
Oh, no, I thought someone else was trying to talk about being absorbed into the party. Who was that talking?
I think I was about to start on something, but
Oh, okay. Sorry.
No. You
I thought it
covered a
was
lot of.
another female voice, so I'm looking on here and I see two of Stevie, Redneck Economics. But
Oh, that's interesting.
Maybe she's trying to get her audio going.
yeah, okay.
Or
maybe
video,
that's
I mean.
it. I thought I heard a female voice talking.
To be fair, a lot of people have also confused me for a girl before, so you'd hardly be the first.
No. I know your voice now. It's okay. I don't think it was you, but anyway, we can go on. That's just what I.
No, I kind of share your sentiment of concern when it comes to sending in young boys to the Congress only to have them warped into your average Joe Schmo Democrat, sort of loyal opposition, supposedly loyal opposition.
Yeah, it's hard. It's like I told Yvonne, I'm optimistic and slightly pessimistic at the same time because I have a hard time believing that Cory Booker ever sounded like these guys. I mean, there may be more of them that will sell out, that will be like Bernie, because they're so passionate about it. They're so like, nobody should have all $100,000 of student loan debt.
Yep.
And the amount of information that these guys were like hurling at me, I was like, so I think there's hope with that, with the millennials, that they're really, I don't know, maybe they won't sell. I'm sure some would, but hopefully as a group, they've lived it. They've really experienced that hardship. So it's like fresh and raw. So maybe they're less likely to sell out and just,
Well, if you get them in and they stay semi-organized, they can be just like the Tea Party is with the Republicans.
right.
They can be the upstarts in the back row, and that's what our House of Representatives needs. It needs a little more fire because Nancy Pelosi and the leadership we got in there now, Steny Hoyer, that crew is not good. They're good as far as political, like the ins and outs of the House. They're good at the sort of how to use the rules, but that's about
Well,
and money. But otherwise, I felt like, to me, that conference was a lot of different. Right now, the way I look at it, the left's having a hard time coalescing one idea and one group that we're all going to jump behind. And so everybody's they're splintering away to some extent. Hi, Stevie, and everything. But they're splintering sort of into different groups. But coming these kind of things gives them some, you can't. The thing about it is, to win a lot of these seats and stuff, people are going to have to run as Dems. There's just, the chance that you're going to get like independents to get the signatures together and to be able to run a decent campaign against a sitting Dem, without them running in the primary. If they primary them, it's a different story.
Right.
But if they come in as an independent in the general, it's not going to be necessarily as powerful as, in some of the smaller seats and stuff, maybe, and depending on the area.
I don't know, because at this point, I kind of feel like Democrat's a bad word to a lot of people.
It is.
And
it is.
I think it's yet to be seen, and I think the important thing is just sticking to the issues. Screw the labels right now. Just forget about it. Stick to the issues. But about the mainstream, everybody calling us the Tea Party of the left, I've always rejected that, because I feel like it's stupid, because really what we are is not the far left. It's the independent movement. It would pull in people from the right also, which I think scares the shit out of them. So when they say they're the Tea Party of the left, what they're saying is, oh shit, they might take over. But really, that's where the comparison ends to me, because we're not way out here in left field. We're really the future, of where the middle of the country is. So anyway.
Yep. I'm probably the farthest left guy in here. I comfortably can embrace being called the Tea Party of the left. Although the difference is that I have no organization, and there's no billionaire astroturfing my movement for me. So that kind of sucks.
Green Tea Party.
I guess what I mean is when they're calling
Green Tea. Coin that. We're gonna print that.
What'd you say? Green tea?
Yes, Green Tea Party.
Oh, good. Great.
Okay, we need to co-opt that. We need to co-opt that stat. Send that to Jill Stein, or whoever in the Green Party might be able to take it.
That's really good. Huh.
I'm for it.
Green tea is good for you too.
Yes, I'm drinking it right now.
Better.
Green tea. Green tea.
Yes.
There we go. We just started it right now.
Get your cup of green tea today.
Yeah, Eric.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Maybe we could give a packets of loose leaves to if we set up a booth, we could just give out packets of loose leaf green tea. Everybody's just sort of come join the revolution and have a sip.
But see, actually,
I like that.
That might not appeal, Stevie. What would you say to the you know how the whole thing of Obama and his arugula salad and that kind of stuff? I mean, is green tea, would that not appeal to the
I don't know. I like it.
I play it up.
I'm weird like y'all.
I don't mean you. I mean as a whole. You know what I mean? Food is definitely a cultural thing too.
I don't know. I mean,
certainly.
I think it's catchy. I like it.
Okay.
I think to some
extent,
extent,
be more receptive to it. I mean, it's obviously popular because Lipton makes it and sells it
That's
here.
true. That's true.
You know.
And the other part of it is that we're kind of we're kind of obviously playing it up.
Yes.
Yeah.
That we're known as this sort of very hippie totes into organic stuff and just sort of like ramming it down. Yeah, we're damn proud of our organics, and you're going to love it.
Yeah, but
Go full
see, there's that
crank.
segment of the independent, right-leaning independent. I hate stereotyping, but okay. But I always just think of I don't know, the Indiana farmer, white farmer guy that eats a lot of beef, and I don't know, that kind of is like a turnoff, that kind of stuff.
The not the not so far left is what you say.
Yeah, the
You
guys
say
that went for Bernie.
the not as
the
far
ones
left
that
as
say
us
that,
does.
Did I
That's
forget to
fine.
mention? Did I forget to mention that I also love a very good steak?
Oh, okay.
Well, no, I wasn't like. No, I was just saying. I was just sort of commenting on our use of language. We don't need to call them right. We can just call them farther left. Not as quite as far left as
Yeah,
us. But,
okay, white.
that's the way I.
Yeah, white working class, right? I guess that's what I mean.
Well,
like, they might.
And it shows they always you've always got a chance with them. It's the way I figure it.
I think you're good because what's that? Not the ones that make Arizona tea. Arizona tea makes them, and the white stoners love that stuff. So.
Oh yeah, okay.
I like the mango.
Not that Golden Peak stuff, or as me and my friends like to call it, the DPRK fucking peace pipe.
No, not that stuff.
Okay, what about the?
I've got enough empty Arizona green tea bottles, gallon bottles around here to make a small raft. So yeah, I know. I dig what you said.
Stevie, what about the older white working group? You know what I mean? Like
maybe the older white, maybe not so much.
I think that was the problem.
I'm trying to think of back, I don't know, when I worked at the hospital, I'd see guys drinking green tea down there. I mean, they get, from the vending machines and stuff. So.
I think, what I'm trying to get at is, I think there were those guys that were maybe were for Bernie, and I'm talking about older white working class.
Yeah, I see the guy, I can see that guy that you're talking about.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So he was not going to go for Jill Stein. That was just too.
Well, I don't. He's not going to go either. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
I think if you're that dead set against it,
That's why I think we just have to throw the labels out. I mean, really, it's that's a catchy little thing, but I mean, as far as independent or this or that, or Democrat, Republican, just talk about the issues. We'll see where that lands. See what do we call that later? I don't know.
One thing I wanted to say too about that Progressive Summit is there is nothing wrong about an inside-outside strategy. We have no hurry because there's no presidential election for a few years, And as far as taking the House and stuff, that's going to be a case-by-case basis on who get to run in these places and whether they're actually progressives, whether they're acting like we're being sort of taking advantage of the situation. They're going to come in, act like progressives, and turn right away. We got to be. It's all. They could be whatever they're going to be, but we got to kind of look at everybody individually and what groups backing them and everything else. It's like our voting guide. You look, when I'm looking at somebody and I look at our voters guide to see who endorsed them and stuff. In some cases, endorsements work because you can look down the list and say, well, here are about 6 different organizations that I know I don't want anything to do with. And this other guy isn't involved with them. So, you know what I mean? And he has, 7 that I agree with. And then you look into them and you find out,
Well, it's
anyhow.
The way I see it, as far as what Broken is talking about, is it's the company you keep. Ray Khanna or Rock Khanna, whatever his name is
Ro Khanna.
Ro Khanna, thank you. Now, I wasn't here earlier, and I know that Kelly was talking about the People's Summit and kind of what happened, but I kept throwing this question out to Jamal and to Debbie,
Oh,
to whoever was there, to ask if they can either pin Miss Sanders, what's her name again? But anyway,
Jane.
and Jane Sanders and or Bernie the question, and it's simple: Bernie Sanders, Beck, or DNC.
right.
Nobody, nothing. I mean, there was every opportunity to do that, and I don't know if it happened, but I just haven't seen anybody do it.
Sorry, I can't get my video started, but from what I hear and from what I saw, there's no mingling from Bernie Sanders.
Mm-mm.
He became the elitist, where he didn't even want to mingle with the common folk. That's my opinion, but I mean, if there was any video, the only person that interviewed him was Nina Turner on her show.
Yeah.
Which the real
So
news
Nina
I
Turner
saw-
had the show.
I saw Jane Sanders several times right in front of me. I was trying not to be obnoxious and ambush. I probably could have, but I
No.
just didn't want to do that. So instead, she was like right behind the counter at the Sanders Institute. I mean, like 3 feet from me. But I just said, we'd love to talk to her if she has time. So this nice lady from the Sanders Institute, she texted me and she said, we'll try to work it out, but of course it's really busy. So it didn't happen. I had hoped we would get an interview with her. That was as close as I got. I would have had to be like really obnoxious, and I don't think that would have.
Well, I'm that obnoxious. Next time this happens, I'm going.
No, but see, they're right back by this curtain, and everybody's swarming. And
It's a curtain.
So did
yeah,
I go right through.
Did
I
it-
can go through a wall if I have.
did anyone
I'm
watch
that fat.
the Nina Turner interview with Bernie Sanders?
I
I
saw
watched
part of it. I haven't seen the whole thing yet.
It was very generic, very protective.
There was nothing to. They didn't talk about the DNC fraud lawsuit, right?
No, they didn't. Didn't come up. I watched it.
I'm not terribly surprised by that, though.
Yeah, me neither. I wasn't.
I mean, did they talk about her institute a bunch? Was that like the sort of key, the center of what they talked about?
No, she spoke about it a few. That's part of what she's there for. But I mean, just her being there brands that and markets that. But she did have a
Right.
I mean, there was nothing really. The same questions that he's always getting, he had gotten from her. Nothing. I mean, the biggest question, like all of us are asking from the Green Tea Party, is Beck or the DNC, and that never came up. And then nobody would even come close, I don't think, in touching Seth Rich. I mean that's kind of. That's a little extreme. in my opinion.
Ebon, is this where you were going about the Real News Network? Is that what you?
Well, just a little bit. I feel like if they, or at least Nina Turner, was able to get the only one to get Bernie Sanders on, it already has a lot of clout, and why that is something to ask, because what makes them so different than any one of us or
I
TYT?
think it's just her. I don't know that it's them, but they pulled her on, and now that's going to get more attention because of her.
And then the one thing that I don't like about the Nina Turner show, if you go to Real News Network, go to therealnews.com, and it'll take you to this banner saying help support the Nina Turner show, and then there's Nina on the left, and then on the right side there's Linda Sarsour, that's her name, if I'm pronouncing it right. Someone else I can't quite make out, but I mean, I don't know, Linda Sarsour, I feel like she's very, very establishment side of the progressive sheep herding back to the DNC, and why her out of so many other people that she would be interviewing? And it's like she's become a pundit. I mean, it's like, okay, they've got their own news shows now.
I mean, Nina Turner has been a pundit for like the last year, is more or less. I'm not sure why.
And Linda Sarsour was
Rocky Carpenter, your voice audio is chopped or crackly.
All right. All right, try that.
Good.
All right. Linda Sarsour was a spokesperson, or what do they call them? The kind of people go in the news. You know what I'm looking for. Thank you, a surrogate for Bernie Sanders. And she did plenty of fighting in the New York State. In the New York State Dems to try to get them to be more. I think she's good people. She may be connected to the Dems, but she's good people. You gotta take some of the good ones, or some of the ones that we're not going to get very far if we tear down too many people. You know what I mean? We gotta be just like the People's Summit. I'm sure that there may be a couple groups that came in there that were pretty, that are going to end up being not good for us. But, if there's other groups that are trying to start something. So it's like we got to be careful right now about all these fledgling groups. I mean, when that Onward Together or the Insistence or whatever it's called. Yeah,
Yep. Here's the question:
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Why would Bernie or Nina? I mean, they're congressmen. They should focus on their stuff. Why would they need to create their own show when there's plenty of people out there doing what they're doing and they've been doing it for years? Why not go on the Tim Black show? Why not go on Debbie Lusignan? Why not go?
Well, I know that they do make show appearances.
I know the answer.
Oh, go ahead, James.
The answer is to get you away from us. I really believe that. I don't think they're not paying attention. I think that TYT leads to us, Jimmy Dore leads to us, H.A. Goodman leads to us. A lot of left T Green Party people lead to us, and I think they're starting to see that. And I think the best thing to do from a marketing standpoint and from a targeting standpoint and the demographic standpoint would be to create something to pull people away from what we're discussing.
Right. So this my
but
sense.
Nina Turner right now isn't in any elected
TBC,
office.
can you let Kelly go? She's wanting to say something before I
go ahead.
That's okay. Yeah, before I'm so tired, I might lose my train of thought. So, okay. So here's my sense of it at this point. I feel, my feeling and just seeing everything is that Bernie made the decision at some point. Now we can talk about why. I have some hunches on that, but that he was not going to beat them. Okay. I think he seems like he's given thought to running third party. Obviously, he's been an independent. He had a good reaction to when they called out the draft Bernie thing on stage. I mean, the crowd was roaring and everybody was for it and he was grinning. And I don't think that that's impossible to happen, but I think that he feels like if, as Broken said, if you can he wants to change it from within to force the Democratic Party where they have no choice because all these guys come in and they change it. But it's still keeping it all within Democrats. And what none of them are thinking about is there's a whole big fucking part of the country that the Republicans are running everything now. Do you think those people are going to care or come back to the? No. So I think they're going about it the wrong way. They're hoping that it can change from within, and that then all the social justice warriors, all those good progressive causes are underneath the Democrat umbrella. But they're forgetting that there's a whole big rest of the country, middle America, that is like will never vote Democrat, at least not. I mean, so they're ignoring that, and I think they're going about it the wrong way. But I think that's their strategy right now, and that's why Bernie isn't calling out. He's not going to talk about the DNC fraud lawsuit because he wants to see the revolution take over the Democratic Party, not go third party. I feel like going third party would give it more power because all those people would leave. the Democrat, or they have already. They won't go back. And then you pull in all those people that voted for Trump because they were saying fuck the establishment. Excuse my language.
I agree. I think I heard from Jamaro or Debbie, either it was today or yesterday, but saying that the whole strategy of taking the DNC back from within, well, of course, it doesn't work, but there's no concessions from those that were in the establishment in the DNC. It's not
Nope.
there. No one got removed
Right.
from positions of power. Everyone's, nothing's changed to prove that the DNC is going back to. But now you've got Bernie Sanders, you've got a lot of people that we thought were running with us with this new revolution thing that they wanted, but now it's like, no, we didn't quite want it.
Yeah. And it's something I have to accept too. I've been, not really hard on Bernie, and I still like him and I still respect him a lot, and I understand his strategy, but I don't agree with it.
Yeah,
But it's also you got to look at it too. Is there is a short strategy, long strategy. Look at this. Short strategy is to take some seats in the House, and to do that you got to win in these things quick. You can't spend a bunch of time organizing new parties or getting new parties up to speed. So I mean, short term, that's a good strategy. Longer term, Bernie's got to keep his options open. Whatever he wants to do, whatever looks like and if he goes ahead and does these things, remember, each and every House member he gets in is another super delegate.
Yeah, sorry, I know I'm taking up a lot of this. I'll say this and then I'll.
But no, go ahead.
But I think maybe he may also. He's really smart. He's been doing this for a long time.
Yeah.
He's seeing, okay, we're going to show the Democratic Party, we are going to take over this. And if you still, by the time we get to the next elections, are refusing to accept this, then at that point, it's bigger, it's more organized, because just his reaction to the draft Bernie, I still think it's like not impossible for him to go, okay, then we showed you, we told you, look at what's happening, and you're refusing to accept it, then now we're going elsewhere. So I still think that's possible that he might do that. But
no, I don't think it's
exactly.
No. He's reversed. It's a bad strategy. He reversed any damage to the DNC. He's propped up the people who has been pretty much killing anything outside the establishment. And he's propping them up and putting them at the forefront, saying, "Hey, we gotta let these type of people carry on with the revolution." It's like, these guys aren't the revolution; these are the guys we're fighting against.
Exactly.
And Bernie Sanders is propping them up on the stage and supporting them. Yes.
Good example. So if he keeps doing that, which I don't know what contract he's laid out, but everybody must understand this very simple fact. There's a ton of money floating through the DNC. There is a ton of money floating through the Republican Party. The Tea Party came in, and then they were boosted, and then they were bused to their events and their rallies, and then they got rid of them after they used them. Kind of like what we all put our heart and soul for, and then it's still shoving it in our face with Perez and all these other people, et cetera, et cetera. But the bottom line is there's a ton of money that the establishment parties are not going to separate from in the city, state, and federal levels. Judiciaries, legislators, executives. These guys are not going to just jump off of this money train and lose their 6-7 figure incomes to get away, to jump on the Green Party that basically has pennies compared to what they have.
It's the incentive structure.
Yeah,
they're incentivized not to jump on board because that's where all their money vanishes.
So, Ebon, oh, you're on mute now.
It's about money. I don't care. It's about money.
No, I was just tapping. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
All right.
So
Well,
we can talk about what the real news.
It's about money, but it's money for what purpose? For capitalists, it tends to be for people. The reason why you want to get money is because it helps you to advance your power. It allows you to have greater influence on society. When politicians seek money, they're using it as a secondary goal because their ultimate goal is political power. And
well, there's power in numbers, though. I mean,
that's what we have.
Right.
Well, we don't have numbers yet. We're all split apart.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, we're not that split.
But I do really believe
We
there
could
are
believe.
a lot of people,
We could believe.
I hate to keep saying right-leaning because they're not even. They just want the same things we want, and maybe they voted for Trump. But I really believe we align with that too. They want better wages and health care and all that stuff.
I agree.
Yeah, but it's the same thing. They oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No. Sorry.
They dangle that carrot in front of us all the time, and the people fall for it.
Right.
And it's the same thing every time. And it's. Oh, am I echoing? Why am I echoing?
No.
Okay.
I don't hear you echoing at all.
Echo.
So is your sense then with the Real News Network that you're concerned because with Nina Turner, I mean, I love her, but she is the one that was the most vocal against the establishment Democrats.
Yeah,
now,
but
is it a strategy? Is it just a
look? I see it as the elitist approach. Okay, you've got it's like when you try to talk with someone in power in Congress, they go, "I'm sorry, you're gonna have to speak with the intern," and then maybe they'll schedule a meeting with me, etc. Or you try to get them to do an interview with you. Maybe you're too small of a number. They go, "I'm sorry, there's just not enough views in order for us to kind of waste our time," or something like that. Bernie doesn't mingle. You've got Elizabeth Warren. I don't think she's ever been on an independent media interview, but she goes to TYT, and then she also praises Joe Manchin. You've got
Warren is screwed.
Yeah,
Triggered.
and you've got some media like Caitlin Johnstone was attacked today. Now we've got the alt left. Now we are the alt left. And now when we get called the alt left, I kind of think, you know what, the alt right might not be too bad. I
don't.
No, I seriously think. I mean, can you if the media, mainstream media, is attacking us as the alt left for our conspiracies or whatever it is that they want to attack us on, what is it exactly that makes the alt right horrible? I mean, maybe they are not. Maybe they might be anti-SJW, but there is a point to the whole anti-SJW. Because
I think what comes down to me, for me,
look, I tend not to take people too seriously who think that betting themselves with white nationalists is ever a good idea.
See, that's the thing.
Yeah,
where did you get that tying into the white nationalist? Did you get that from independent media, or did you get that from mainstream media sources?
I got both.
No, I get it from interactions with those people.
But are those the real people? See, just the 27% of the voters that voted, 27% of the people that voted for Trump were considered by the mainstream media the extremists.
No, that's
and we are the extremists too.
But no, wait a second. Hold it.
Hold on.
These people that were in Portland, the people who were in Portland, the Proud Boys, Identity Europa, they're a cute organization. Who else was there? Several of the more right-leaning militia groups were there. The organizer, Joey Gibson, I believe his name is, he's a piece of work too. I mean, these aren't even if they're drawing in and the whole crowd that was there, first off, to walk in there, you'd have to pretty much say you're going to identify with these people.
Yeah, but
And
like, how do you
the
lump?
the speeches that they gave while there were not all peaches and honey.
I mean,
So-
you can have a group that's just religious and in the South that has mostly white people, but they have a small minority mix. I mean, you could even call them Mormons because they're majoritively white. You can call them alt-right, but are they alt-right? I mean, how are we
But what I'm
categorizing
saying-
and
what I'm
lumping them
saying-
together?
What I'm saying is people that are labeled alt-right, people that are proud to be labeled alt-right, okay? These
I mean,
type of
I'm proud to be labeled
are these
alt-left.
type of people. And all I'm saying is that this is in Portland, Oregon. This isn't in the South. This is in Portland, Oregon. So it's not like we're talking about, organizations of nice people coming in. These aren't, there may be some nice people that come in to watch it, but the people that are organized it, the people that are around it, no, they're not nice people. And,
I think maybe
it's a totally different thing.
I don't want to speak for Ebon, but I think maybe what I'm getting you're saying is that when you're saying alt-right, it's if some groups are labeled that, but they're not. I mean, of course, I'm not ever going to associate with groups like you were just mentioning, Broken. No way. I mean, that's just, I don't go there. But if it's somebody that is, I mean, this is a bad example because he's not alt. But like Tucker Carlson, I found myself agreeing. He seemed more reasonable than like Kurt Eichenwald. Good God, So
Not
I find
everybody's more reasonable than Kirk Eichenwald, so that's not really.
But he's
Okay,
also,
That's not as sizable.
that example.
And
But when
and
I'm
he's mainstream.
okay, but I think there are more people on the right. God, I wish we had different terms. On the right that aren't
About common sense.
right. That they're not. Maybe they're really fiscally conservative. Maybe they have different views on healthcare. Well, I don't know, but they're not. The KKK, because of course I'm never going to align with that. But I think if they are just like anti-establishment, they have some disagreements on government spending and that kind of thing. There's nothing, but they're anti-corruption. Then there's nothing wrong with us finding some common ground with those people. Am I anywhere in the right category there, Yvonne?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
it's just
some form of platformism.
It's just kind of, yeah, it's just another label. It's just another way of just, if it's kind of like how the tactics that SJW use. If you're just one of those types of people, we lump you into a category, and whatever you say is just going to be wrong no matter what, because you're alt-right, or you're one of those types of people, you're alt-left. Okay, we don't need to hear from this person anymore.
Libertarian. Those
sorry?
guys. I should have said libertarian.
Okay. But yeah, the whole point is,
And I'm not saying there aren't people on the right.
If you heard someone say
common ground.
something, hey, this person is alt-right, would you listen to him? No, because he's already labeled as an alt-right person. So that whole idea of this pre-constructed labelism is what prevents us from talking to each other.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Look, I'm not saying that we shouldn't try to have conversations with people on the right. That's not my point. My greater point is that there are certain groups of individuals that if our objectives are a certain set of presuppose, and you are dealing with people who are whose end goals are antithetical to your own objectives, then there's no point in attempting to form allyship with them, because you are always going to be ending at cross purposes. This is the problem with trying to reform the Democratic Party. Part of the problem with trying to reform the Democratic Party, in my view, because ultimately the needs of the workers are always going to be antithetical to that of the of any major political party, because ultimately at the end of the day, each political party benefits in some way, shape, or form with benefiting the elites in order to secure their own long-term invested power. likewise, for me, social justice is a huge concern point for me, and so I don't typically enjoy allying myself with people who not only who, let's say, not necessarily not just unfavorable to my presuppose, because I can at least argue that from a reasonable standpoint to try and find some common ground. But people whose goals are antithetical to my objectives in that, then there's no point in me allying myself. I'm
Right.
like, what use would there be in me allying with a white supremacist when they're
Yeah, no, I don't think
presuppositions are that my life is less worthwhile than theirs. That's
I
not.
don't think Yvonne means that, but
that's why the label the alt right means so much, because if we can't toss around the idea we're gonna toss in with the alt right, because the label means something,
right.
and to say otherwise is to misconceive what that means to the people that are in it, you know. And I don't think, and what I'm saying is, I don't think there aren't people on the right that we overlap with a whole lot. It's just not those people, is all I'm saying.
Right. No, I think
And I think that it's a, you know, as far as labeling goes, to people that self-label themselves at and run around and espouse the things they do, you know, under the banner of free speech, isn't going to be the sort of thing that I, you know, that's what my point was, there's definitely a group, or, you know, there are groups of people that espouse that label that are less than what we want to be involved with, I would think.
I'd say absolutely 100%. For me, I'm thinking of like the libertarian type. Like I always make this joke that when I hear Ron Paul talk, I'm like, yeah, to like half of what he says, and then the other half I'm like, what the hell did he just say? You know, it's like I agree with half of it. But okay, so there's something people can work on, you know.
Right. Well, like
he's anti-war. Okay, that's great. For example.
Right. The funny thing is that you know, speaking on libertarians, you know, coming from my position as a libertarian socialist, I always find the conversation between what I usually like to call libertarian capitalists and libertarian socialists like myself is that we come to a lot of similar presuppositions about the world and why it is the way it is. But the fundamental difference isn't just that we difference in economic systems in order to satiate the solution. It's also a presupposition about how those presuppositions interact to form the world we know today. For
Can you explain more about like the specific? Sounds like you've read a lot and know a lot. The specific differences between libertarian socialists and libertarian capitalists. I mean, I can surmise, but
right. Obviously,
there's a test you can take to find out.
Right.
The Venn diagram or whatever it is.
Yeah.
I have no Venn diagram.
The XYZ.
I guess I mean more like real world, like your experience, like seeing the differences between them.
I get, well, largely it's, well, part of it is that it's largely a theoretical conversation outside of maybe a couple historical examples like anarchist Catalonia and Ukraine in the early 20th century. But beyond that, it's the records for anarchist attempts are relatively sparse from a socialist perspective. What I would say is this. The libertarian capitalist, and I use this term for what we traditionally just say as libertarians, just to avoid, you know, sectarian conflicts over, oh, we came up with it first. No, we came up with it first. I don't want to put up with that. So the libertarian capitalists see the government as obviously an oppressive institution, but they see it. Well, there are two strands in it, and I should make that distinction. There's the anarchist strand, the anarcho-capitalist strand, which believe that the government is inherently oppressive and ultimately antithetical to the accomplishment of the free market. market, and thus to ensure that the free market is able to operate at peak capacity, the state needs to be abolished. Then there's the libertarian. There's the standard libertarian strand that we know, which says no, you still need a government, but you just need to scale it back enough so that the only thing that it has to worry about is making sure that the market doesn't collapse entirely on its own face. Because markets tend to be inherently volatile, and people are going to attempt to cheat the market in order to advance themselves. So the government serves a functionary role in protecting property, both intellectual as well as the means of production. For libertarian socialists, we see the nature of capitalism and the state as interlinked with one another because the formation of what we understand today as capitalism, as well in the industrial context, goes hand in hand with the development of the state, and that they have necessarily developed alongside each other with the sole purpose of developing economic and social and political power. And so, if you were to dismantle the state, but not dismantle capitalism, then capitalism just simply drives itself into the ground because the markets are inherently unstable, and without an elite force with the proposition of the use of violence, it basically descends into chaos. But if you try to dismantle capitalism but not the state, then the state just absorbs the functions of capital. And you're left with the same problem, only now it's in the concentration of a bunch of political elites. So for libertarian socialists, we see the abolition of the state and capitalism as both necessary preconditions in order to reach a more stable society. So that's the shorthand version.
Okay.
I am so with that. I took the graph, and I am a social libertarian. Socialist, libertarian socialist.
I would like to stress, though,
I fall down in that corner somewhere too.
You're right next to us, brother.
Yeah, lib socks unite.
Hold on, I'm going to go on mute for a bit, but I'll be back. I'm listening, but I'm going to go on mute.
Oh, wait, I don't have my... Damn it, this show can't work now. I don't have my webcam on.
No, you
I
don't.
had my ideas
Maybe
changed.
I
Working with a country that there is no property. All of our other theories are based on who owns the property, who controls the property.
Right.
This system called Boo Booty, no one is allowed to have property, not even the government. And it's a totally bizarre way to start thinking about it, that there is an economic system that is not based on property. However, they don't do very well. So when I started thinking about what are we going to need for an economic system in a more automated society than we are now, how do we control the work? How do we control it? If somebody's born with $10 billion or $88 billion versus somebody that's born in debt, how do we control that? Because obviously the money is going to go to the person that owns the robot if that's the system. I think we cannot go completely away from capitalism. We know that Boo Booty is the absolute worst economic system on the planet because of it's really good for the people, but it's really bad for economy because there's nothing has value in a system where there's no property. So the communism didn't work because people didn't have the incentive to work.
In fact, although I personally debate whether or not that's communist, not because I am a communist.
Well, I've known a large number of people, a lot of people that had the defect from the former Soviet Union, and I'm probably biased by what they say.
I would say I'm like a social democrat. I think Germany works just fine. Germany has a lot of good social rules that we don't have. If we just had what Germany has as far as a lot of the social rules, we'd be in better shape.
Yeah. Well, I think we need
Or
something
social
closer to Germany, where
services.
upon becoming an adult, yeah, that you have resources put to your need, whether it's school, whatever. You just don't leave the kids in debt when they get ready to go, and you need to be able to get through life's little issues. But the government has a responsibility to make sure that everyone has the means to work, if they can.
Mhm.
And that's where the government really drops the ball to me. Is we have so many projects that could be done if we weren't saying, well, that's not profitable.
Right.
We have so many issues that need to be addressed that there is no reason that we shouldn't be utilizing everyone. And at the same time, we have other people that make their money solely by the fact that they have money. And they've done no merit to really warrant it. And in many cases, what they do with the money is detrimental to society. And so to me, we need to be seriously talking about what do you do to prevent this generational wealth, and on the other side, the generational debt. And I really foresee us having to do some really drastic economic changes to get people to work. And meantime, we can't do anything to even have time to talk about it unless we come up with some kind of FDR-like work system where we put everybody to work that can do it. We still benefit from the national parks we made in the 1930s. And I really think that we should be doing some ecological projects that would pay off for the future generations just as much. And in turn, make sure that they have a foundation to start from, where they don't start at 18 in debt and have to decide whether they're going to get their arms and legs blown off in an oil war just to get by.
Well, I mean, to me, it's like, a big part of it is how do you bring accountability to the rich to pay their fair share of taxes and to actually give back what they have without bringing out the guillotine and starting to chop some heads off? How do you do that? How do you start to bring accountability into it?
I don't believe there is.
The estate tax.
Yes.
You bring it back, and you bring it back big for people that got a ton of money.
But the estate tax is a method.
The hell out of it, because these people are sneaky as shit. They'll go sneak it over to Europe or somewhere else, or take it off.
That's what I mean.
Treat it like drug money.
It's pretty deep. Yeah.
Treat it like drug money, and and give bounties for people that catch people. And I'll be telling you what, we'll have we'll have our taxes.
Yeah, that's what drones and SEAL teams should do.
In the mass, a major shift in the mass consciousness, because for way too long we've had this attitude that, it doesn't really matter how you made the money as long as you've got it.
Yeah, but
okay, one second. Here, just 1 second. I don't know. Between James eating chips,
I'm finished.
All right, and between Jay and somebody else is clacking on a thingy.
Sorry.
But throughout time, the extremely unbalanced wealth has never shown that it can be controlled, and that's where, to me, the death tax, it can't go beyond a second generation. And the other thing, as the other side, nobody's debt should go beyond a second generation either.
No.
And that's what's happening. How many people are in welfare in New York that have no means to get out of it generationally? Would they grow up in the welfare? The next generation is going to go in. Nobody's going to hire them. They walk in with that accent. Nobody's going to hire them. They need.
And we were talking the other night about the CCA and WPA and how they were fine projects, and it was a good way for young people to have a job.
Well, my father-in-law did it when he was in his 20s.
I just think we have to just stop. We keep rewarding them. I mean, it's not
the politicians are just, they're like the middlemen. These laws and stuff, like the corporations, they're the ones. I mean, they have as much power as we give them, right? So if we quit giving them money, if we formed our own type of way of taking care of our own, and we just make them obsolete.
Sounds like a great idea.
I mean, I know, like that's really how I don't know. I feel like that would be the most effective because we're not gonna. I don't know. I feel like the politicians they're just the receptionists. Like they're not gonna really do anything.
I'm not doing anything for us anyway. Politicians are working for the oligarchs.
Who's the one cursing and yelling in the background? By the way,
oh, go ahead.
Sorry. While Snorky's on, Snorky, would you be interested in doing a panel with Jamarl and maybe Robert from Bob TV?
Sure. Do they need to do it at an earlier hour or what?
Yeah, it might have to be from like 6:15 p.m. to like 6:45 p.m.
Perfect. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can, Lucas.
Awesome.
Snarky, sorry, what was that?
I have a meeting tomorrow night. It wouldn't be tomorrow night, would it?
We could try it on Wednesday night. I mean, we're gonna need some time to coordinate. So.
Yeah, maybe you could give me Wednesday. I'm thinking of going out to see my daughter on Wednesday.
Okay.
I mean, I could stay if you guys.
I think I've got your message from private message on YouTube.
Could be.
So I'll email you, or just direct message me on Twitter if you're on Twitter.
Or you can use my real email.
Okay.
I can put it in the chat here real quick.
Sure. Thanks. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Yeah, and Jamarl's going to be on Wednesday.
Oh, Jamal's going to be Wednesday. Go ahead, Red. You were going to say?
I don't remember now.
Well, I was going to say that I thought of the solution to Snork's how do we keep everyone employed and happy in an automated economy?
Mm.
The universal basic income.
The what?
Yeah, I mean, it's just all a matter of just finding the right reward. I mean, maybe the reward in whatever system we set up, it wouldn't be money, but what would the reward be? So whatever. I mean, it could be anything.
Right. Well, I mean, there are so many other incentive structures by which we can generate some form of value. Positive self-affirmation, social recognition.
Now you're talking about rebuilding society.
Yeah, because when we look at what are effects of a change in a factory, we look at 7 factors, and we don't look at just the person. We look at the machinery, the resources, everything that's put in, and in this case, what really I think is like blowing the deal for like people in New York on welfare is that they have so little that all they have is the inner family, like for childcare. They know somebody to leave their child with and whatever. They can't go take a job elsewhere because they don't have the money to get there. They don't have the means to get there. And when they get there, if they have to do something, nobody's going to take care of their child. So you have to think of every need that's being satisfied for them at their place to go. And I bet millions of them would be willing to go say, hey, I'd love that job. Go out and take me there. My kid's going to be taken care of? Great. I've got nothing to worry about. But what they're in now is they're used to everybody crapping on them. They're used to what little they have is all they've got, and there's no pipeline of anything else coming down the line. So you have to satisfy their fears of all of their needs before they're going to be able to recover. And in my life, I'm 56 years old. I've never seen us do anything to show a promise that could happen, because I believe that many of them would pick peaches in Georgia if they knew that they were going to be treated decently, that they were going to be paid. And in a factory, the factories that I worked at that I considered successful always had a theory of 15%. Make sure that they're paid 15% more than they'd be if they didn't need anything. So, and one company used to, John Deere used to pay 25% over market. And those companies were always the successful companies, the ones that said, I want to make sure that my employees can go out and have a barbecue on the weekend. I want to make sure that our employees can enjoy our product, or, somehow something related to their product. I mean, not everybody drives a tractor.
Right.
Not everybody buys another TV every week. But
there are companies that I would say the even more powerful thing, like Bob's Red Mill, that makes a lot of they do grains, oatmeal and cereals and all sorts of different stuff.
My daughter needs Bob's Red Mill.
Their employees own the company. They own the company. I mean, it's not like you've just got the big guy and he's got it all, and you just get little crumbs. And
my daughter has celiacs.
Of tenure and things like that. Sure, there are people that probably make a little bit more than the others, but you don't have a CEO sitting there making 400%.
Yeah, I agree.
It's not like that. And the reason that people want to make that company a good thing is because they've got a vested interest. They actually care about it because they have partial ownership in it.
And I've been in union situations where the union will fight everything. 'Cause as I used to be an industrial engineer when I was in my earlier career, so we're the ones that the unions hated the most. And the companies that I could go in and say, oh well, I couldn't bring in beers, but I could bring in a few cases of soda, plop it down, and I could bring in a few dozen donuts, and I say, we need to talk about what we need to do to this line, and those groups would talk to me, and we get so much done. The companies that wouldn't let me share even a donut with the employees, they weren't a company that really could be helped that well. And but like I said, just inclusion. I made sure their needs were met. When you're up in a boardroom of a company, a lot of times you can get up and go over and a tray of snacks and foods, and you can make soup and stuff like that. And almost everyone I've been at, where if you're in a meeting where it's going to be there for 6 hours, they expect you to get up and snack or whatever it is to keep you awake, alert, and involved. And you go out to the employee floor in some companies, and they won't give them anything. They'll charge money. In fact, I was at one company where it was a benefit. If it was over 95 degrees, they would set the Gatorade machines to free. Whereas in the boardroom, people were making all kinds of money. Anything you wanted was free. And a lot of times they'd even call out for food for us.
That's just the more you have, the more you get.
Mm-hmm. And the Germans allow for half their board to be workers.
They don't allow, they mandate it.
Or they mandate, exactly, they mandate it. So, that's a good system to keep companies from using and abusing an area and then splitting, And it also works just to help run the place.
When I've had to go into a factory in Europe, and this is more common than just Germany, when I go into a company in Europe, the employees don't view me as the enemy. And it's a big difference.
Do you wear a "Make America Great Again" cap?
Actually, a few years back.
I don't recommend it. I'm just saying.
Big American flag suitcase. Big American flag suitcase.
We used to be required to wear IBM regulation suits, basically ties and whatever. And I switched to this. I'd had the same boss 5 companies in a row. I switched to a different company, had a different boss, and he goes, "Mitch, you scare people when you walk in dressed like that." He goes, "I want you to go buy this brand of pants. It's from a company called Dickies. I want you to go buy a brand of pants from a place, or a shirt from a place called Dickies. You got to look like the employee so you don't scare them so much."
Hi, Ariel.
I'll have my camera tomorrow.
Oh, good. Where's
Hi,
that?
Ariel.
Stevie, are you still having problems? Like you can only be video or sound?
No, I got it. I'm doing other stuff while I'm listening.
Oh, okay. I just didn't.
So can sorry, let me get back to, I think, where we kind of started on the conversation of
Yes.
socialism, libertarianism, on all these different social classes and labels. I think perspective-wise, I do believe that the labeling is there for a reason. They would love, and I really sense this, and I've kind of seen it in videos, and that they kind of like us being apart. I don't think they really want us to unite. I know there are some differences, but when it comes down to the basic needs of a job, a paycheck, healthcare, infrastructure, a decent road to ride on, making sure my car isn't going to explode when I drive it, just certain regulations. I would say the guy that's the skinhead that's driving next to me with the big flag on his truck, which happens a lot, would probably want a decent job and decent health care and decent this and decent that as well. I mean, I think there are some kind of unification, but when it, like Elio says, when they do become extreme and they do consider that their lives are more important than everybody, those are the kind of people of course, I don't want around me. And I think it just comes from stupid parents and bad behavior. But then if you kind of go up in the conversation that we were going through, then we started talking about the structure. Like, how does Iceland kick ass so much? Because they kind of have a mixture of capitalism and socialism, and it kind of works. Is that right, Elios?
They hold the rich accountable. Huh? They hold the rich accountable. We don't do that.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Well,
I mean, that's the no-brainer, but
yeah, because
there's so many examples out there. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. There are so many examples of societies that can handle theirs better, even with the apparatus of the state. And that's simply because that the political structure there is set up in such a way that they are willing to sacrifice the economic elites in order to maintain their own center of power. Because if they go, then everybody loses power, and it becomes a free-for-all. The politicians, in that sense, are a gatekeeper, between mass bloodshed and keeping law and civility.
Well,
a sense of order and civility in the general society. So I don't know. For me, I see it as much. I see them as a good step in the right direction, but not necessarily sufficient. That's where I'd go.
Well, I was just going to say that historically, government's role has always been to protect the rich people from themselves. To make sure they don't turn into full blown monarchs like Louis XVI and end up with their head on the chopping block. And that's something that the rich in our country have been recently forgetting all about. They don't know their history very well because they're taking away the bread and circuses and making it too expensive for people to get to.
Did anyone actually see that? And I didn't find out about it until Bad Mouse Productions put out a video about Prager University. But apparently they did a video saying that income inequality is actually a good thing.
Yeah, it's a commercial. I saw the beginning. I saw the beginning of that commercial. It ran on YouTube.
Oh,
for Prager University. Yes.
Yeah.
It was advertised on like every left channel you can think of. Let's put it this way, they pegged me for a possible student. one of their freshmen coming in.
Gee, income inequality is and the guy that got to fucking do that video is just like the world's cheapest Nicolas Cage impersonator.
So, is anybody in the mood to talk about a healthcare topic for a minute?
Sure.
I probably have to turn in for tonight. I've got work tomorrow morning.
Okay. Give yourself a good night.
Well, I could save it for I'd actually really like to hear your take on it too. So,
But
but
you have to stay up a little longer. And we're not going to tuck you in just yet.
you tend to really go into explaining. You've obviously done a lot of reading political philosophy and stuff.
No, I go around a lot, and I've encountered a lot of political circles, so that's why I'm more familiar. I'm
Right.
still in the
Well, this
process
is
of doing the
about-
reading part.
This isn't a health issue. I mean, like a personal health issue. This is about healthcare as a right. Like that's that statement.
Right.
So if you need to go out, really, I could save it, or we can go back to it or something.
I can donate 5 minutes.
Okay. Well, I don't know, it might be longer. We'll continue it another time then if it goes on. But so I might make people hate me when I say this, but I'm used to taking a controversial.
I don't think
stance.
we hate you, Kelly.
Well, okay, let me put it a different way. Piss people off. I'm good at that. And I don't mean to. And a lot of times when I say something, I'm taking it, I'm trying to explain that I understand the other side's view on it, not that I have that view. Does that make sense?
Go.
So, okay, this occurred to me when a couple of months ago when I think it was like February, I was watching the town hall where Bernie and, was it Kasich or was it, what's his name? The Zodiac.
It was Kasich.
But there was another one where it was Cruz. I can't remember which one it was. It was a town hall, but anyway, it may have been with Cruz. But anyway, they were talking about healthcare as a right.
Right.
And so I, in that time period, was also having a lot of very in-depth conversations with I hope he never watches, my uncle, the conservative banker guy. And really in-depth because I want to know, I pretty much know how he thinks, but I wanted to know more how he thinks because I don't see him as a bad person. Like I really don't. He sort of became more bland as he got older and 30 years at working at a bank. But anyway, when I was little, he used to be like, here, listen to this Alice Cooper song, and he was kind of a hippie. Anyway, so I was really curious, like how he thought about things, and we got on this conversation. So when I hear, I feel like when we say healthcare is a right, it's the wrong wording. Because, and I pulled up something, it's basically libertarianstandard.com, and I'll put a link to it so everybody can read it. But it's titled, Healthcare is not a human right. So just hear me out. So when we say healthcare is a right, how did they put this? If they would say healthcare is the right thing to do for everyone, it would change the entire dynamic of everything.
But that's the conversation we are already having.
Oh, wait, hold on. So, sorry, I just want to get this out clearly, and maybe this isn't the best day to do it because I'm tired, but I'll try. Okay, so here's something. Okay, what are human rights, and is healthcare a human right? Now, this is from the Libertarian Standard, but let me just read a little bit so I can make more sense. Okay, when we claim to have a right to something, we mean that we have dominion over that something, and that others are obligated to respect this dominion. When person A claims that he owns this watch, person B's obligation is to recognize this watch as A's property. B is therefore precluded from taking it from A unless A sells it to B. Okay. The point is that saying that someone has a right to healthcare requires someone else to do something for them. It's
but not for free.
Not free.
No, but
ideally, yes. In a libertarian society,
but the idea is this is one of the libertarian arguments that says that we are stealing labor from them and enslaving them somehow to do work. No, we're saying if you want to practice medicine in the United States, this is how much you get paid for seeing a patient. This is how much you get paid for an x-ray. This is how much you get paid for, and all of that's negotiated.
Right.
And that's, a way other countries work. So it's not stealing from somebody.
No, sorry.
It's working within a controlled system.
I'm going to post this thing. I'm going to post this link so everybody can read it first, and then maybe we can talk about it like tomorrow night so everybody understands more what I'm trying to say, because I don't.
A little research.
Yeah, it's because I believe we should have universal health care. But I think part of the problem is just the rhetoric, is that when certain people hear like, oh, I'm obligated to give that other person something, they see it that way. And I'm not agreeing with it. I'm not saying I have that view. I'm trying to understand the other side's view. Like my uncle would say, well, why am I obligated to pay for that person? And so you hear it all the time. But I'm saying if we're ever going to get past that and fix the problems, then if they change the wording of how, because there are a lot of people that know they don't want to see someone else die, but are you making another person obligated to take care of that person?
Yeah, in regards to health, go ahead, Dominic. He was going to say something.
Sorry.
There's a fallacy in that. People think that they're not paying for other people's health care, but you are, because their insurance is higher. Okay, so
yes,
paid a tax, and the insurance companies are telling the doctors and hospitals what they're going to get paid now anyway. So that's not really a valid argument.
No, absolutely. And I said that to my uncle. So I'm right with you. What I'm trying to get at is their thinking and how do you get through to those people so they don't, you break down those sort of arguments. You see what I mean?
I think we don't do that because we're playing on their field. And the idea is that healthcare as a right is understandable by more of the masses that understand healthcare is not something that is just any object that we buy.
Right.
It's something we need for life, and that our most unproductive years are our most expensive.
Right.
So your years from 0 to 17 or 18 are their least productive. Your years from 65 or 67 to death are very expensive and least productive. So there is that argument to be made too.
Yeah.
So I find myself in this position a lot, that I'm like really just trying to explain that I understand the thinking on the other side, but I don't really think that. I'm just trying to break it down so that we can maybe get through and understand the other side. And anyway.
Well, I mean, and the other thing too is we all need to understand that the money we're talking about is a portion of what we're already paying into to an insurance company. Would now just go to the government instead, and then you'd be covered. And that's the difference. You're not even taking that whole chunk they've been paying. You're just taking part of that chunk and saying now you're covered.
But see, there are people like who I just mentioned that you can't get past to talking about that point, because he's stuck on the it's a right thing. You know what I'm saying? You can't break through.
I mean, if they're stuck on that, then why are you having this conversation with them?
It's a lost cause. I agree. Like, I think
with some
getting stuck on a talking point, like the whole it's not a right thing.
I disagree.
No. It's not just that they're being stuck on a talking point. I mean, if there's something that fundamentally undermines their philosophy, then of course there's gonna be a pushback to it, because the fundamental assumption, because part of this is that the fundamental assumption that people like your uncle seem to be having precludes this the necessity for social responsibility.
But see, there's so much that we ended up agreeing on. It was unbelievable. And I thought, wow, if people could sit down like this and do this, we could actually fucking get somewhere. Like, really. I mean, I'm certainly not going to agree with him on a whole lot of things. I mean, and that's just the way it is. But there's got to be some common ground, and we're just constantly at this.
I think you can keep talking. I just think that I think you keep talking and trying. I think that but the general philosophy of using the idea of it as being a right is better politically. That we're not. There are too many hurdles with a libertarian, with a conservative libertarian, as far as even if we get past that. The other thing you have to do is have market controls. The government has to make a deal for the cost of everything, and that's the price.
But
because that's the only way to have a functioning system.
There are two jokes that come to mind, both from Bad Mouse during his Prager video. Regarding this, it's just that it's a lot easier to feel sympathy for somebody's suffering when you're looking at it from a conservative libertarian perspective than it is to actually be concerned with why they're in that position in the first place. So, for example, if I give some money to a homeless person on my way to work, then that makes me a good person. But if I ask why are they even homeless and poor to begin with, then that makes me a communist. The second one is that, even if we dismantled this healthcare system, we could dismantle the healthcare. A lot of the inefficiencies of our healthcare system could probably be solved just simply by getting rid of privatized healthcare. But then the libertarian would ask, but then who would you pay for your healthcare?
Exactly.
Well, the thing
like, damn it.
The thing I love is that all the libertarians quote Adam Smith and like all their taxation is theft bullshit and like that and like all that kind of stuff. And it's like, sure, it might be if it's not being used for the things that you use, but a lot of it is. Maybe not most of it, but a lot of it still is. Like if you drive on a road, you're using those taxes and you're using everybody else's. Right. If you go to a national park, you're using everybody else's taxes. And even Adam Smith he came out with the term laissez-faire, but just like Machiavelli, he didn't actually support everything he wrote. Like in his ideas, the market should be governed using the philosophy and the principles of Jesus, because he was a Christian. And so he thought that there should be regulations and that it should never keep someone from having too much money and too much power and too much influence. He was very anti-monopoly, and all these people that quote Adam Smith and the laissez-faire and the free market have never read anything that has to do with capitalist theory and like free market ideology that was originally created by Adam Smith. Because like it's just complete. It's just like the people who try to say that homosexuality is a sin, even though they've never read the Bible. Because if they believe that, then they'd be going to hell too, because they have tattoos or they're wearing clothes that are made half cotton, half
David
polyester,
and Jonathan.
and all that stuff.
David and Jonathan also have a very cozy relationship in that book. I'm
going to post this link here, and maybe we can talk about it more later. But again, I'm not saying that this is my viewpoint. So I just want to make that clear. I'm saying this is their viewpoint, and I think you have to sort of really try to get in and understand it. Like here's one line here. Rights do not demand action from others to sustain that which is claimed by those rights. Let's see. I lost the one right there. Strictly speaking, then, rights place an obligation on others to not act in a way that invades that which is claimed by those rights. Not that it doesn't demand action from others to sustain that. So it's just the way that they view it. Like we can either, try to find common ground or not. I just think, what if the wording was changed to healthcare is the right thing to do? That would have
it depends on how you interpret the word right and what makes right, because historically might makes right. And, and like the definition of what is a right has always been changing, and what people consider rights have always been changing. And, like they're really stuck on their internal philosophy of like what they would consider a right. And like, you can't get too hung up on the definitions of people that aren't going to agree with what you consider a right. And, like you got to kind of take common ground where you can get it, but realize that you also, while you can find common ground, you're never going to make a total convert out of somebody and make them all the same things.
No, absolutely.
Here's my true story. my dad, who is 75 years old and has the ongoing cancer treatment, he was the same way my whole life. Very conservative, believed that you shouldn't get something for nothing and you should have to work for your health care and all of that stuff. Well, guess what? After 4 years of being on cancer, having a daughter who can't afford health care and another one who's got a really crappy health system, he doesn't think that way anymore. It's not a revolution of the mind. It's not a revolution of intellect. It's not about changing somebody's mind. It is about the heart. Until the heart or the emotions change, nothing's going to change.
Yeah. And that's very true that
the real revolution comes about with the heart. And so the thing is, a lot of these folks, they don't think that way because they haven't felt the pain of it yet.
Yeah.
Another one we talked about
where your mind just like that, and you won't be surprised.
Remember when we were talking, I think, I don't remember, I think a similar topic, and we were saying how, like, Dick Cheney was not for gay rights until his daughter was. You know, it's like until it happens to them.
That's exactly it.
And I think it is a Republican conservative mentality, very much. And I don't know how you get through that.
So, but the thing that gives me a lot of hope is the fact that the younger the generation, the more that ideology is changing. And it's not a matter of money. It's where we're putting our money. It's a matter of priorities. We're not prioritizing healthcare. And when you have, it's different. When you have a small community or you have a small group, you can take care of it yourselves. It's a little bit different. But when you have a country this huge and you've got to take care of this many people, you have to really make, you have to make concessions for people. You have to make, things for them, because there's going to be people in this country that will not be able to work. There's going to be mentally disabled people. There's going to be all kinds of challenges. And it's not a one size fits all. So what do you do for the broken people? Either you're going to take them out and shoot them in the head, just like Hitler wanted to do, and do the national cleansing. Let's kill all of the disabled people and all the kids born without a leg and all of the, get rid of them because they're a drag. So you're either going to kill those people and just wash them out, or as a compassionate government, you're going to say, well, gosh, we've got to be able to take care of our people, whether they're physically able or not. Something that just happened to me, I found out yesterday, it was kind of intense. This guy that I knew from childhood, he was the son of one of my mother's best friends from her life. And he was found dead of a heroin overdose. And he's about my age. And he had been on heroin since he was an older teenager. And he lived in this tiny little town in Maryland. And I will tell you, this is an argument against super, super religious beliefs being pushed on someone, because his parents were very, very religious. They had 5 kids, and he was the one that didn't fit in. So he didn't really have many options. It wasn't like he could go to the city and find, cool people with similar interests. So he ended up finding a bunch of drug addicts, got addicted to heroin, never got off of it, went to rehab different times. But every time he would come back home, guess what? The same old group would be there, and he'd fall right back in with them. So here you go. I mean, this is mental illness. This is mental sickness. His parents didn't have the money to keep sending him to rehab. So they literally found him dead with a needle in his arm. Found out that he had a 5-year-old daughter that the family had no idea existed. And they had actually, government services had stepped in, and she got adopted out to a gay couple in New York, which I think is actually kind of hilarious, because his parents were these uber Christians. So now the grandchild is living with a couple gay people. I think it's kind of awesome in a weird way, but it's sad and it's intense, because I wasn't super friends with this guy, but I remember him from the time I was a kid, because we go visit him, and it's just wild to think about how close all that is. There's so many people with troubles, and they need mental help, they need addiction help. All of
those people have a role. All of those people can do something. If someone is mentally disabled or whatever, everyone can have a role in society and do something good. So
what kind of role?
Right, it's a change of heart that's needed, but anyway, I'll still post this thing. I would just like if anybody wants to read it and comment on it more. And
but what kind of role? You said everybody can have a role. What kind of role? Do you mean
well,
like?
I'm just saying, like, some people can't work, and I think we should take care of those people. I mean, that's my philosophy. But I'm saying, with the right education, with better programs for getting people to work in jobs they can handle or whatever, then they don't have to just be not doing anything.
That's true. So what happened in my my lineage and my ancient culture, which probably happened to a lot of us, but you guys don't hear about this, is they didn't have medicine hundreds of years ago, and they didn't have medicine thousands of years ago. So what they used to do with the kids, and don't get too squeamish on me, that were born not correct or doing very well, when they came out, maybe they're missing something or something's not working right, they got rid of them. Like Sparta. That happened in many cultures.
Yeah,
before doctors were around.
That's true.
And because they knew over the thousands of years that they had already been here, that they couldn't take care of them. Right. So now we do have, I mean, a buddy of mine at work, his niece or something just had a child that was like 15 ounces, like totally premature, like 2 or 3 months premature. I mean, I don't know. That's great that technology is fantastic. And I think it's pretty awesome, honestly, and the way I feel about it. And I think we should try to do it. But where is that? I think there's a point here. Where is that point where, I mean, they're already starting to make goats, I mean, it's just, all I'm saying is just, it's getting out of control. We have to take care of it. And I brought this up. You have your A, B, C, D, and
Wait,
F.
do you feel like that's too extreme to try to, is that what you're saying?
No, I believe we should, no, of course we should try to save life out of the womb, but then you start getting into the abortion zone, the gray area. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Well, there's what you're saying is this is a question that medical ethicists and like hospital boards and things argue about, is where these lines are. I knew a philosophy professor that sat on a hospital board as an ethicist, as to work on their ethics board or whatever. But yeah, there's a huge question of, but that's not like a huge question either. I mean, there are some part of the reason why everything costs so much is because everything's like, it wouldn't cost that much if it wouldn't be an emergency room hospital that had to cover the cost of all the walk-ins all year. I mean, there's a lot of markup that happens to a hospital too that wouldn't happen in a system where everybody's covered.
For anybody new here, we talk about everything. We get sidetracked.
Yeah, so Independent, I think, has been trying to talk. I keep seeing his frame go off.
Oh.
No, actually, ironically enough, I was taking Motrin, so.
Okay. Well, about that specifically, we just look to medicine because, like, that specific case, and we're getting off on a tangent here, but I know, like, earlier than 26 weeks, I think it is, the chance of survival and being, at all functional is very low. So that we just have to rely on medicine, I guess. To know.
Yeah, but it's getting to the point to where it used to be 20 years ago, it was hard to keep a child out of the womb or coming out.
This is specifically about like brain development in the womb. Like that's
that's important.
What?
I know you guys are thinking I came out a little too early. Is that what you're thinking? because you're right. No, I was 8 pounds. That was pretty normal. I just got dropped a lot.
Oh, okay.
I do know a family where the mentally challenged grandmother has 4 daughters mentally challenged and 25 grandchildren mentally challenged. There's up half of the buses at one school system, special needs buses.
I'll tell you what, the school systems pay a big price for that too, because they have to provide a lot of extra care for any challenged student.
A majority of all of the federal funds the school receives goes to the special needs programs.
Right. And the parents, they have like such rights. Like I'm on a school board here where I live, and we were actually we had to hire a driver to take a kid like 40 miles away because his parents didn't want him to go to a school around here that could accommodate his needs. And we had to do that.
You're making reparations.
Yeah.
It's like Article 50 or something.
I forgot the other term for it, but if they've been homeless for any period of time at all, they can choose any school system this is Illinois. They could choose any school system within 25 miles.
So does anybody want to, I don't know, we tend to get
also,
oh, sorry.
Well, also, I mean, just by like, if we're the kind of society that's going to move forward and do something like, what is it, single payer, then I would think that like maybe we could be the kind of society that would just, I think we'd have to make some other changes that would happen that would be related, as far as like moving forward. And I think it would all kind of feed off each other. I mean, like if we, just like for pollution, for example, I mean, just think of how many people are born with like autism or birth defects and all this stuff just because, of the pollution.
Yeah.
I mean, that would cut down dramatically the number of people like that we'd even have to care for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, it kind of comes back to even like the Jevons paradox. Like they say, the more efficient you make something, the more fuel you use. And it's like the more medical advancements we make, the less healthy people are, and the less people, like the less respect people treat their bodies with, because they expect that if they eat like crap and they don't take care of themselves, all they got to do is take a little pill and get a little surgery, and then everything will be a-okay. And they'll
I don't know what
forever.
you're talking about, buddy. I have no idea what you're talking about.
I have a friend who's an epidemiologist, and her doctoral thesis was on that, the autism and air pollution. So yeah, it is. There's a link. So
yeah, there's tons of. It seems like everything affects itself. Reaction gets an opposite reaction. All that. But in regards our biggest concern, because we're in the green tea left, is that we're trying to find solutions, and you guys do it. You're all talking about solutions. Mm-hmm. You got a solution, Kelly. You got a solution, Coca, Independent. Elios had Redneck's got we all have like everything that comes out. We got small little solutions for some of the things that we bring up. I'm glad this is being notated, because I think in 2,000 years from now, people are going to go, wow, it's a good thing those people were talking like that.
They were geniuses, right?
Yeah, they were super geniuses in their own time. But the thing is we're bringing up a lot of stuff that people aren't really talking about.
Yeah.
That will eventually come out.
You know what? See, they're also going to look back and see how many times I used my poor uncle as an example. But he said to me, he's like, liberals are always talking about the problems.
Oh,
and never the solutions.
I hear that all the time.
Really?
I get so tired of it. I hear that everyone I talk to, because everybody else, like, they think that ignorance is bliss. And so if you acknowledge that our country isn't perfect, they see you as personally insulting and attacking them. And and they feel hurt. And like my aunt, like she watches Fox News and listens to Rush Limbaugh and all that. And anytime I make a cynical point, or I talk about our endless interventions and all the innocent children we're drone bombing every day, she acts as if I'm personally attacking her and her beliefs, and makes it as if I only talked about the problems without solutions. But it's like, well, you don't care to ask me about solutions. It's like, I can't tell you how to fix a problem if you don't know what the problem is. It's like, no one can fix a problem if they don't admit that they have one. And that's what
you can't afford to even start thinking about paying for anything if we're going to keep on spending every dime we got blowing up other countries.
Exactly.
Yep. One of the agreements my uncle and I came to was that we need financial literacy education in schools.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. So I was like, bingo. Yeah, we got one thing. Hey, that's a start. We agreed on that, and so that was cool. I'm just saying, it might not be much, but there is stuff.
There's some bridges. I definitely agree. Mm-hmm. But the one thing I do know when I do speak to a few conservatives or older conservatives, if I start bringing up the plethora of crap that's going on with this country that was instigated by the 1%, that usually constructs and orchestrates all this crap in the first place, it's just depressing to them. They don't want to hear. They want to hear unicorns and rainbows. And a lot of people just don't want to hear the smack truth. I mean, when I was telling you guys that kids were being tossed like the 300 in the movie Sparta, the 300, that happened all over. That happened everywhere.
Yeah.
But the thing is, and I didn't want to hurt anybody's feelings, but the thing is we're at that point where we have to be so real, it hurts. And I think our conversations get to that point.
Here's the thing. I mean, we're adding over 200,000 new humans to the planet every day, and that's taking
too many.
That's taking a death rate. That's accounting for death rate. We're still taking on another 200,000 people a day onto the planet. And one child born in America will be far more wasteful than a child born in a third world country. A lot of it is that we're getting further and further and further away from nature. And it is that fine line of how much do you intervene? I mean, my dad, sure, I don't want my dad to die, but the fact of the matter is, if we were living 100 years ago, he would already be gone. And that's just the way it would be,
I've already told everyone in my family that if I ever end up on life support,
really allow every single little premature fetus to grow into a human being, that's a real fine line. Some people really want that kid are going to say, no, I'll do anything that it takes. But common sense kind of says, well, back in the day when things were more natural, a woman could have 10 kids and maybe one or two might make it. And she might not make it having the kid herself. So that's why nature used to really account for things. When you watch the birds, I watch the birds all the time, 50% of their nests that they create in the spring do not succeed, and that's just the way it is. If the babies die, like an owl nest, they'll eat the babies, they'll eat the dead ones so that they don't waste the protein and they have a better chance of survival. And it sounds harsh, and nature is harsh. It's beautiful and it's harsh.
That's kind of how things are now, isn't it?
Yeah, but a society, but setting up a society on the level of, if we're going to do it that way. I mean, I live in a state that has physician-assisted suicide, so I got no problem with that. I think that's just a fine way. If you're going to go in an agonizing long battle, and you choose not to do that, that's just peachy keen.
Right.
But I mean, if we're going to speak of life that casually, then we really have to talk about eating Soylent Green and just how far we can recycle ourselves. Because I mean, if we have no feelings about anyone, we have to draw a line somewhere. I think eating our own young is a little bit, we're not quite to that level yet. But I think I understand what you're saying. I understand the metaphor. We got to figure, I think those that have more compassion towards actual living beings should be the ones to sort of set where that line might be. Let's put it that way. And I'm sure you follow that line, Ariel.
Hey, Broken, you've never been
I'm
a
not
Democrat.
saying we start eating baby owls, but I'm just saying, they do it. They don't have that same thinking brain up here that goes, ew, they're just going, you know what? I'm not going to waste the protein.
As long as you're not like the evangelical people who are pro-life until you're born.
Oh man, that's the worst. I would make a big argument for the ways that organized dogmatic religion have really screwed this country up. The fact that we don't make emergency contraception an OTC drug, the way that we really don't encourage birth control, it's insane. It's insane.
Hey, as long as we get our Viagra.
If they don't like abortion, someone needs to tell them God's the biggest abortionist of them all. Because most babies that are conceived don't even come to term; they get flushed.
I think family planning is got to be covered too. I mean, it's just that's just an asinine. That's actually just an asinine. The Hyde Amendment is an asinine amendment that needs to be done away with.
One of the best things they did during the French Revolution was shut down organized religion. It was one of the best moves that they made. And, I would argue, I just watched a 6-hour movie about the French Revolution. I'm really into it these days. They did that. We did not do that. We kept the whole Bible thumping going on here. They said no more organized religion because they saw how corrupt the clergy was. So it was a big deal. And they got rid of slavery. They, at least they tried. At least they said, and the Rights of Man said, we're not going to have somebody be enslaved. We're not going to do slave trade anymore. We're not going to have minorities being slaves over here. Not cool. And we didn't do those things in this country right off the bat. And it's really kind of icky that we didn't, because now there's that religious guilt. There's that religious fear. Even if you're not super religious, there's a lot of people that still believe that having an abortion or even contemplating it makes them a bad person.
Well, and even on the smaller level and like the less serious things, I have a ton of friends who are formerly religious who like still feel guilty over like having sex with their girlfriends or masturbating or something, and they have like the religious guilt that shouldn't be there. Because if you believe those parts of the Bible, that's and like if you read the Bible. And there's certain books of the Bible, like Leviticus, the one where God says homosexuality is a sin. That is also the book of the Bible where God says if you have acne, scoliosis, blindness, dwarfism, erectile dysfunction, any physical deformity, you can't go to heaven. If you have a tattoo, you can't go to heaven. Be selfish.
James, I think it was that you that mentioned Viagra? Sorry, it made me think of, did you guys hear Nina Turner had she introduced, I was looking up the specifics here. She introduces bill to limit men's Viagra access, and she was like, let's make them go and get a note from their wife. And
it's in Texas. Yeah.
I thought that was great.
Yeah, it's a satire bill to point out how dumb it is.
Yeah.
All the women's
yes, he needs Viagra. I thought that was beautiful. I saw her. I think that was actually on the Real News Network too. But anyway, they interviewed her about it. It was really funny. So anyway.
Okay, I'm gonna talk for 2 seconds. One of the things that drives me nuts. My wife and I, we have decided not to have kids, and at work, everybody's like, well, hey, Dave, do you have any kids? And when I say no, they're like, well, why not? It's supposedly it's a sin also to have sex and not have kids. The whole purpose of having kids is to reproduce. In the Bible. Okay, well, my wife and I decided not to have kids for a lot of the reasons that you guys have talked about. All the horrible things that have happened and blah blah blah. So that's our choice, and we should be that choice should be respected. And in a lot of cultures, that has not been respected. And in the meantime, I actually. I have my master's degree in education, and I did do some student teaching and decided not to do it because you have parents who are falsely getting tests for their kids saying that they're autistic simply because they're trying to get services for their kids. Now that's crazy.
Mm-hmm. Do you mind me asking where do you live?
I live in Suffolk County, Long Island.
Oh.
I live on. Yeah.
Sorry, I was expecting like the deep south or something.
No, well, I am actually. My parents are from Georgia, and I lived in Virginia for a long time. And my accent goes in and out because I lived in Chicago, and now I live on Long Island. So I'm all over the place.
And I just meant like where you're getting this reaction from other people of like.
I actually, I work at a post office, and there are different. There are definitely different attitudes. A lot of it comes from the Asian community, which I think is interesting. But my thing is, that was our choice. So
it's funny. I grew up in Georgia. And I can't tell you how much hell I've caught over my life. When are you going to have kids? Why aren't you having kids? And when I was a teenager, I said, I don't want kids. Oh, you just wait. You'll want them. 20s, 30s. Oh, you're going to want them. I'm like, no, I'm never going to want them. And here I am 40. And it's like, there's still people that are like, there's still time. And I'm like, I hope not. I'm like, I'm waiting for menopause. I want it to come as soon as possible. And I don't have to worry about it again.
Yeah, my family's trying to talk me out of a vasectomy.
Like, you can do it. You can do it. Dude, really?
Like, I don't want to do it. Tell it to shut up. I was about a clock.
I had two kids and that had had a vasectomy. The doctor asked me, says, well, what happens if something happens to your kids or and I said, well, I don't want to try to replace kids. I think that's a sort of weird.
Make new ones.
Yeah, exactly. It's, I can't replace my kids. And then he said, well, what happens if something happens to your wife and you remarry and they want children? And I said, well, tough. I already have two kids. I can afford two kids. I mean, that's just the way it is.
Yeah, I think they always ask that. They're like, if you, something happens to your wife and you marry a young, hot, whatever, 20-year-old and she wants kids. I think that's a standard thing. I've heard that so many times.
If they ask me that, I'd say then we could adopt.
Right.
There's enough kids out there that need a home. I don't need to bring more in.
Right.
The
like,
thing
honestly,
is,
if I would have waited like one more year, I probably wouldn't have had any kids because that was like that's when the recession hit and they started laying people off and knowing what I know now, like there's no way I would have had kids then. So yeah. I mean, I'm lucky I had them early.
I just feel like people shouldn't have to feel guilty. If you want a kid, that's cool. If you don't, it's cool. Like, don't guilt people for their personal choices. But a lot of times, if you don't, they really ram it on you. It's crazy.
Right.
Like, as a parent, I know how crappy it is to be a parent. So, like, I understand why people, like, I totally get it. I have kids. I know why you don't want to have them because it's like all your time, all your money, just everything. That's where, that's your life then. So, like, I mean, it's a good thing I love my kids because, like, it's intense.
Well, there was some study a few years ago, I think it was CNN, but it was like, do children like enhance your happiness? It was an overwhelming no. It's just really sad, but I think it's of course they bring you joy. I mean, I wouldn't have it any other way, but it's the day-to-day like grind of dealing with, especially when you have young kids or teenagers. So, yeah.
Yeah, well, you gotta learn how to like just basically enjoy. See, that's why I just when I start getting frustrated or I start getting that burnout like mom feeling, like I just say fuck it and just play video games with them or call her or do have fun with it. Like I think like parents get so focused on like the work of it. It's like there's a lot of fun to it too that we just like when you're working and stuff, you don't get the chance to do that.
Well, again, it's the same thing about being far away from nature in a more natural community. There would be people helping you all the time. It wouldn't be overwhelming.
Right.
Or you could, it would be easier to even like just watch your kids or keeps them entertained, because like right now everything is like, well, you know, they've got to have their cell phone. You got to make sure that, you know, are they, you know, lotioned up with their sunscreen, and you know, like you just have to protect them from all these outside. You know, if it was more natural, I mean, at least living in the country, I got to go outside and play, and my parents didn't have to really worry about me too much because it wasn't like this constant danger zone.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we could all use our own little eco village where we could all take care of each other and, you know, have a little community.
Yep.
Carrots.
That would be badass.
Triggered!
We can all go in a piece of land in Canada and start an eco village, and we'll call it the Triggered Eco Village.
Triggered! Ooh, I'm so triggered!
Trigger camp!
Trigger camp!
The green tea commune or something, right?
Yeah.
I think the human race
Triggered
has to,
green tea.
Don't you think that everybody is getting too crazy and trying to protect people too much from the wrong things too?
Yes.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh yeah.
Yes. The world is statistically a safer place than it has ever been throughout its entire history for human beings, and yet everyone is more scared than ever.
See, the scary parts do make up a small part of the world, but they want to act like it's a huge part of the world.
Yep.
That's honestly how I really feel.
I forget who I was talking to about this recently, but hand sanitizer. I was like, you know, I just think of George I love George Carlin.
Me too.
Think of his
watching him
where he was like, yeah, you know, I never get sick. We never got sick because you know what? We swam in the Hudson River. We swam in shit. And so, you know, it works your immune system, you know. And kids are swimming in enough shit now, so
when I was a kid, I probably ate a good bit of dirt, and you know, there was no hand sanitizer, and you know, back then I could play all the violent video games I wanted, and no one worried it was going to make me a serial killer. And you know, it's funny how back then we had video games, but we didn't have the mass school shootings. Now we've whitewashed the video games. No arcades around anymore, but now we have school shootings. Funny, huh?
Well, there's a slight difference between Pac-Man and Call of Duty, though.
Or Mortal Kombat, like the modern day Mortal Kombat's a bit different than the 2-bit. Modern day, like Mortal Kombat X looks a bit different than the arcade original Mortal Kombat.
When a kid actually develops a chain that he can throw and like grab people with, then we'll worry.
Well, I think
Island, they actually banned hand sanitizer because the kids were using it too much.
Yeah,
and getting them sick.
Well, and that's good because they've done studies and they found that people who use hand sanitizer a lot actually get sicker because the hand sanitizer, all the bad bacteria evolved past it really fast, and all the bacteria you need on your hands to keep your skin protected, like they don't evolve fast enough, and so you end up like it's like an antibiotic.
I wonder if that's why they're having so many of these like MRSA and inpatient outbreaks, infections in the hospitals, because I know when I worked the ICU, there was 16 rooms, and every time I went into a room, I had to use the sanitizer before I went in and after I left. And being one of the assistants, I had to, I'd go in all that's what 32 times if I make one round, and then you make how many rounds in your shift. So it's like you're doing it hundreds of times in your shift, and if you don't do it, they would have people watch, and you get dinged. So
and you get well, you got to get gowned up too, don't you?
Yeah, well, some of them if it's MRSA, but and it's just I don't know how sanitary it is when I'm using so much hand sanitizer that my hands are cracked and bleeding.
Well,
I saw nurses that would do that because where they'd work 12-hour shifts, they'd have hands that were just awful.
Yeah, anyway. It's that foam and everything else they got there. Yeah, it's part of that is from that and too many antibiotics. Too many people taking antibiotics for stuff they don't need antibiotics for. Just and then antibiotics in your milk and meat and everything else. We're overflowing with them, and it the only kind of bugs that seem to do really well now, or maybe not really well, but are doing well enough to be in hospitals is like MRSA. and and that's scary because they can't have it in their hospital. So it's yeah, that whole deal's a little bit spooky. But we'd come home from playing outside, and we have dirt, and we had fresh roads that they paved, and had asphalt on top of them. So you could always pick off the hot asphalt on the sides, and they'd make great rocks for rock fights. And you'd always have a bunch of tar stuck to your hands. So we'd come home. Mom wouldn't use no hand sanitizer. Mom would use cigarette lighter fluid. And that's what all that naphtha and stuff. Oh yeah, man, rub, because that would get it off, or soften it up enough she could get it off. And, oh yeah, and that feels real good on little people's skin, man. Like I could wash my hands with it now, it wouldn't bother me. I'd feel it evaporating, but it wouldn't bother me. But back then, little people's skin kind of. It was sort of a lesson after playtime.
I've had my ex. She and my daughter. I used to fight her, not physically, but in regards to when my daughter would get sick. The first thing she just jumps on medication, like antibiotics, medication. I actually had to protect her at one point and say, just stop, just let her get sick and let her fight off the fever herself.
Right.
And sure enough, she did. And I know that made her stronger, and I had to do that a few times because her mom was just serious as far as just any little, you got a little sniffle, or you're going to need to take this. And then you need to take some Dayquil because you're going to, I was just like, God, she's just got a stuffy nose.
Yeah. Well, so I always try to give myself a week minimum before I decide whether or not I want to go to the doctor and see if I need medication.
Yeah, just you got to let the body's, however we came here, whether we were experiments, who the hell knows, but at a certain point, we got to, let our immune system, get its UFC workout. It's got to be strengthened itself.
Well, that's what they said, that childbirth has changed so much. Like they said that whenever they switched from going through the canal to C-sections, they said that there was a certain bacteria that a baby's exposed to during childbirth that helps prevent allergies in the baby's life in the future. And it creates a certain probiotic environment within the baby's body. And so they were saying that in the modern day, where a lot of kids get C-sections like I did, it's shown to have a very, very strong negative correlation, or positive negative. Is it positive or negative? It's a correlational effect that's very strong. It has a correlational effect that's very strong that shows that kids born with C-sections have much worse allergies. And I think that might be one of the many things that contributed to my terrible allergies.
I mean, aren't C-sections on the rise for the past 10 or 20 years?
Yeah.
Yes, and they've shown that it has not really helped the mortality rate of the maternal mortality rate or the infant mortality rate that much at all.
It's because people want to schedule it.
Yeah.
Sometimes
my
it is.
doctor actually asked me when I wanted my son born. He's like, "Well, what day do you want him born?" I got to pick his birthday. I was like, I feel like there should be some kind of medical decision making here. I don't think I should be in charge of this.
Yeah, it's whenever he comes out.
And
I'm still qualified.
Yeah, I was a C-section, but it wasn't planned. My mom fully intended to do a natural birth, but when she went into labor and they looked at her cervix and everything, they said, "There's no way you're going to have this kid normally. It just isn't going to happen." She would have died. 100 years ago, she would have died.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, so they used to either back during learning about the history of American childbirth. It's before they had forceps, they would either have to break the mother's pelvis and kill the mother and save the baby, or they'd have to crush the baby's skull.
Pretty much.
It
was pretty brutal.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Also, baby food. Before baby food, the mother used to have to chew the food for the kid, and then
like a bird.
We're getting back to the bird
But
standing up.
that was where
That's a
most
good point about the
Squatting.
because like breastfeeding, I know like I'm pretty sure that back in the day, like if you didn't breastfeed, well then I guess you're not going to feed your kid. But like today we have formula, but that used to be the immune system way to build the immune system.
And that's another thing that they think is contributing to allergies is the lack of breast milk, because they said formula, no matter what kind you get, is never going to be as nutritious for a newborn child as the mother's milk.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like I know this is going to sound really weird, maybe TMI, but like I don't know what the big deal is like with they have like these milk banks, right? For moms, but like everybody gets all weirded out, like the thought of your kid drinking another woman's breast milk, but then like we'll feed them, give them cow milk. It's like what's the big taboo there?
There's a woman in Germany who takes old human milk, and I can't remember what she does to it, but she turns it into silk, and it is a completely non-allergenic silk for people that have all kinds of allergies, and she makes clothing out of it.
Oh.
So anything. It used to be in the old days.
That's not a joke.
It's indistinguishable from regular silk, except that it has no allergens to humans.
Eric, are you enjoying this conversation?
Oh yeah, I'm multitasking.
Okay.
Well,
I'm just kind of joking, but yeah, sometimes we get on the specific. I don't know.
We go on tangents.
Two things. My wife did breastfeed both our kids, and they do say there's a lot of benefit to it. The other thing too, goats actually learn what plants are safe to eat from nursing on their mothers.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Because they learn what not to eat by what the mother's already eaten. It's a very interesting herd thing that I learned when we had goats.
Mm-hmm. My rabbits, when if you ever consider getting a pet rabbit, you should always make sure that they've been able to feed from their mother directly when they're really young, because if they don't, they're going to be much weaker. They're not going to live as long, and they're going to be more sickly. It's funny, like I was talking about before, maybe another episode, about Dr. Denmark, who was my early pediatrician, lived to be 114 years old, and she didn't believe in drinking dairy milk at all. And she never would. She said, cow milk is food for a baby cow. It's not food for a human. So it was interesting because she believed in having red meat once a week. She would have an egg every day, but she would not drink anything but water, and she definitely didn't believe in consuming dairy.
Well, when I was in college, I actually wrote a paper on, I don't want to get any of the details wrong. I don't have it right here with me, but I believe it was Nestle. Yes, it was a Nestle corporation that sent basically sales rep, corporate, reps to Africa, and they're wearing lab coats, so they look like they're doctors, and they would pass out enough formula until the mother's milk would dry up. And so then they were mixing it with dirty water. Yeah. So yeah.
Good old Nestle.
Oh yeah, Nestle.
They've always been a bunch of bastards.
Mm-hmm.
Really have always been.
Rat bastards.
They are.
So this is totally off the topic. I was thinking back to people's comments, if there was anything we hadn't covered, and I wanted to share. I think I told you guys the other night how I flew, and I hate flying, and I hadn't flown in a very, very, very long time. And my experience landing, going up there, well, get a load of this. So I get a 6 a.m. flight this morning, and I'm like, okay, I can do this. I made it up here. I can do this. Because I really, for a little bit was like, I could just rent a car and drive back 12 and a half hours. But anyway, I get to the airport, and everybody's waiting to board. And all of a sudden they say, there's a mechanical issue with the plane. So we're not, it'll be at least an hour, or it might be another plane. And I was like, oh my God, okay. And then I start to walk away because it sounds like we're going to have to get another plane. And they say, oh, never mind, it's fine. I'm like, what? No, it's not fine. So I'm like, I'm not kidding.
Southwest? What was the other one?
It was United.
United.
So I'm like, I'm not getting on that fucking plane. And
Mechanic came out and banged on the bottom of the engine and it fired up.
how is this happening to me after this long of not flying? I mean, of all things, you know, like I got the courage to do this and I'm terrified of it. And so I'm just kind of sitting over to the side, and the nice ladies at the ticket counter, I walked up and I said, can you tell me what's going on? Like, what is it? And they're just looking at me like, how can you question it? I mean, no one else even flinched. Everyone's like, oh, okay, fine. And I'm like, so I sat down and I was like, well, okay, when's the next flight? And they said, one, you know, whatever. I was just going to have to wait like 7 hours or something. And they said, oh, wait, that one's standby. There's no room. And you'll have to wait till like 5. And I was like, I can't get on this plane. And you know what? They had the pilot come out and talk to me.
What?
They did. Can you believe this? I was like, no, look, really, I don't want to cause a scene.
Oh my gosh.
I'm a grown woman. You really don't have to baby me. It's okay, you know, really, but I'm just not going to get on this plane.
What's the funny thing? Oh, sorry. I mean,
it's okay. The pilot. So I really should tweet out something to United because they've gotten so much bad publicity from. Wasn't that the guy was dragged off? So Captain Kirk.
And the giant rabbit that died on one of their planes.
Oh, I didn't hear that one.
About that. Oh, it was terrible.
So his name was Captain Kirk. He came out and he talked to me. And he was so nice. But he's just looking at me and he's like,
what?
Really okay. It's the starter and it's fine. And
Captain Kirk?
Captain Kirk?
Yes.
Really
you sure it wasn't the United Space Federation or whatever it was?
It didn't say USS Enterprise on the outside of that.
No, but that was his name, and I was just like, I was so tired, like I hadn't slept. It was so surreal. But you know, he came and he talks to me. He's like, "Really, it's okay." And I was like, "Well, shit, my bag's already on there." And I don't know. He kind of talked me into it. He was like, "It's a starter," and I'm like, "Well, okay, doesn't that matter?" And he's like, "Well, it's just the switch." I couldn't believe it. It was like I was
just a wheel. It's just a wheel and an aileron.
Right.
Wheel.
It was like I was 7 or something, you know, flying by myself without my mommy, and the pilot came out.
That's just a screw. It probably doesn't hold anything important.
Anyway,
that's all right. It's always, hey, man, it's nice that, they took care of you, because that's, you know, stuff like that can be freaky, you know.
Yeah, it was nice. So. And then the poor guy. So then, but I'm really nervous as hell, you know. I mean, we take off, and I just have my head down, like, and so the poor guy sitting next to me, he was really nice though, young guy, like a senior in college. But I was like, I'm so sorry, you have to sit next to a basket case. And I said, I haven't flown in a long time, and then they say this and. But he was really nice and just sort of talked and distracted me the whole time. So that was cool. But I did not enjoy it. I don't think I'm going to be doing it again.
You should have walked after that. You should have walked by the attendant and like handed him $20 and said, just pour like 4 bottles of vodka into 1 cup and bring it back to me, please.
Well, I did.
Say it's water.
Yeah, well, when I walked by the pilot walked with me on the plane, and they're like, well, can we get you anything? Because he said she's really nervous and the mechanical thing didn't help, and it's 6 a.m. Keep in mind, and they're like, can we get you anything? And I'm like, can I drink at 6 a.m.? Because I was going to, but they didn't.
Bring me a whiskey and keep them coming.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
I lived, but I'll tell you, the landing, I don't remember it. Just seems worse. I guess it's been just too long. So.
Is that a bunny I see on the screen?
Yes,
it's Van Brunson.
This is the Coco Van Bunsen.
Oh wow, it's a pleasure.
She's my beautiful, beautiful lady.
We feel honored.
Oh yes, she's my little.
Adorable itty bitty bunny.
Well, Mojo's lying at the end of the couch. She's been fed now, so he doesn't, think so highly of me now.
Oh, if we were in Europe, I want to come back as Bunsen's pet because she's got the life.
I have to.
I
I'm
can
gonna
be
tweet-
the bunny, and she can pet me and love me and tell me how cute I am every time.
Oh.
I'm gonna tweet at Captain Kirk at United.
That would be epic. Sorry,
I do have to ask though. It wasn't like a slightly overweight, older, bald guy with a bad toupee.
No.
And did he offer to bring out some old Scottish dude that was also sort of rounding and gray to explain to you how she wasn't going to fall apart?
They mentioned.
No, but
I'm giving it all I got, Captain.
Yeah.
Lithium crystals.
No tall guy with pointy ears came out.
no, but it was just weird. I don't know.
Your fear is illogical.
Yeah.
Please get on the plane. You're United customer service, I see.
Oh my.
Well, you made it. You went on there, you weathered the storm, and you made it. And that's very, very heroic of you.
Oh, thank you. Well, it's not really. Just
a lot of fortitude to travel these
Good job.
We're happy for your back and stuff to not be doing that. That's what we're happy about.
Yeah.
Because I know from experience, you think you can just fly somewhere and jump out of the plane and do things, and you fly somewhere and you got to recoup, and then you can start doing things.
Right.
And then by the time you're ready to really get into a roll, it's time to go.
Yeah.
But I usually 3 days is a good window. I can beat my body to hell and back for 3 days, and then that's it. I got to have rest periods.
Odd. Broken. That is so odd. You say that. I say that all the time. I have 3 days, and if I go more than 3 days, I'll end up, in a lot of pain with my back and my headaches. But yeah, so I kind of realized I can't drive 12 and a half hours. If I'm going to do this, I have to put my ass on a plane. So I did it.
Yeah.
Well, I want you to check something out, Jay. We were talking about chips that other night. You were talking about how the some kind of healthy chips.
Oh.
So my wife comes home. I mean, this is honest to God, not asked for anything. She comes home with real vegetable chips for me.
Hey, those are good.
Those are good.
Yeah,
they are. They are really good. But the thing was, after hearing you talking about that, then she comes home with that. Man, I'm thinking, man, am I supposed to be taking some sort of a sort of mystic hint here that I'm supposed to be eating better?
Maybe that's good for munchies. Broken, probably.
Oh, it's not for me because I can just eat them all day and never get full. It's to me, it's just like eating air, flavored air.
Cauliflower, raw cauliflower.
It's good for you. Mm-hmm. So
almonds.
Yeah, eating in Chicago was not easy for me, having celiac, and then it's just very Midwestern.
Yeah.
Very Detroit-like food. I was like,
oh yeah, tell me about it. I live in Ohio, where the nicest restaurants we have here are pizza places.
Yeah.
Would you like some cheese on your cheese, and do you want extra gravy?
Would you like some cheese, eggs, ham, and spam on your pizza?
Yeah.
I would.
Hungry. There was one really great Italian place, and I ate there twice in 3 days. So just wasn't much to choose from. It's definitely not like Asheville, North Carolina, like gluten-free, vegetarian, all healthy, haven that I need.
So you're in Asheville, Kelly?
No, I was. I'm in Carborough, right, Chapel Hill.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I'm about
Atlanta. We should have a gathering because Eric's in Florida.
We should do
Red is in West Virginia. We should have an Atlanta gathering or something.
Yeah, that would be cool.
We'll go to Texas and freak everybody out with our Green Tea Party.
Green Tea Party.
But I've been to Texas. I've been to Texas, so I can say I've been there, but I'll never go there again in my life. That one's a trigger. I can't go to Texas.
Oh, did
I
you guys?
drove through Texas when we drove to California from North Carolina. That's how much I don't like flying.
I got enough. I have enough THC in my blood to get thrown in prison in Texas forever. I have no want to go down there and go troubling those nice Texas
It's got to be
Rangers.
Vegas. Then it has to be Vegas. It's got to be Vegas.
I could never afford to go there, man.
Austin isn't bad, right? Austin's kind of a good little.
I don't think so. My fellow went to Austin on a business trip. He said he didn't really like it very much at all.
Texas, you got to be careful. I used to live in Texas. I know. It's if you don't talk like this, then be careful.
Atlanta is pretty good because we've got a really big airport, and I would have to say that the city itself is very international. It's funny. It's in the South, but Atlanta, it's weird. It doesn't feel like the South. Yeah.
I'd remind you that Alex Jones is from Austin.
Yeah, there you go.
I kind of
think y'all come out here.
Hey, stop making fun of Texas. I was born in Houston.
Where you at, Red?
Yeah.
Houston was one of the few good stops there, actually.
Where's Red at? Where's she at? Stevie, where are you at?
I was just saying, y'all come out here and oh my God, the food here is amazing. It is amazing. Like, have y'all had a pepperoni roll?
I want it. I want it now.
It is amazing. There's a reason I was 300 pounds. Like, biscuits and gravy. Okay, like, we have the best food. We throw down on food.
That's funny.
I don't know. I grew up Pennsylvania Dutch country where they complain if you raise the price of the breakfast for a nickel, and I mean, it's got to fill up a plate this big with meat and potatoes and eggs, and otherwise you're cheapskating them, I mean, they're, oh boy, they'll give you a run for you. Of course, we ate scrapple there.
Yeah. Oh, I know about scrapple from having parents that lived up there.
Yeah, Broken. Have you ever eaten out in Amish country in Ohio or Pennsylvania?
I lived in Amish country. I lived in Pennsylvania Dutch country, adjacent to Amish country. But yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, they have the best food out there. Like we have a big Amish hotel, about 15 minutes away from my house, and they have a huge buffet, and it's like one of the best places to eat in like that's within driving distance.
I bet.
Wow.
You want to buy just like
there.
You want to buy like great cheese? Man, these little farmers make the best cheese. Yeah. Oh,
well, that's
man.
Have any of you guys ever had trail bologna?
Had what?
Trail bologna. It's a type of bologna that's smoked with a certain type of wood, and it's only made in Trail, Ohio. And like if you drive through there at a certain time of year when they're smoking it, the entire valley just smells like trail bologna. But it's not made out in Amish country.
I like that too. I like that already.
We had what the hell was that? Oh hell, I'll think of it. The damned lunch meat that they had that was local to Pennsylvania when I grew up.
Raccoon?
I don't know. No. I mean, no. The trust me, these people ate good. I mean, you go to the thing. That's the thing. Like blew my mind when I came out west was chicken legs and stuff. There were big because their chickens were big and healthy. They weren't like they raise a chicken now to the point where they just are breaking even on the feed thing and put the weight on them, and then they butcher them. So but you go into like the like he's talking about the Green Dragon down in Lancaster County, or even it didn't matter because the same butcher would be up in Lenhartsville for every Wednesday for the farmers market there, but they would have like fresh meat, and my mom would order a turkey from them. They would butcher a turkey special for my mom, or just special for anybody who ordered one. And, they would raise that many that year. And, they were groovy, they were nice people to deal with. But it's interesting that when people talk about forced sexual structures and things like that, and people coming into our country and taking it over and doing things, people never talk about the Amish. You want to talk about a bunch of dress codes and sexual norms that are set up. They got them, man, in spades. So, I mean,
yeah.
Just to point out that it isn't. I mean, I dig them. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I'm for. They're against war. I dig that, and
yeah, they have a much greater sense of community and taking care of each other out there too.
Self-sufficient. It's a barter system for sure.
Mm-hmm. And they're also all on solar panels. Like if you drive through Amish country in Ohio, it's solar panels everywhere. Like they all have solar power.
What?
Wow. I wouldn't. I mean, maybe solar water heating, but not the Amish. The Mennonites might. Because like the Amish, the true Amish, they wouldn't drive cars. They wouldn't, they would take a ride with an Amish. They would take a ride with a Mennonite, but they wouldn't take. Or Amish would take a ride with an Englisher, but they wouldn't take a ride, or they would take a ride with Mennonite, but they wouldn't take a ride. They wouldn't drive their own car.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they can use things, but they can't. The idea of electric is if they're doing it, if they just like sort of like the Mormons came into be, disavow multiple marriages, that kind of thing. Maybe they're coming into maybe modernizing a little bit, but
yeah,
I don't know, man. The people are kind of been doing their thing for a while that way.
Well,
maybe you run their milking machines.
A lot of them are modernizing, but I think a lot of them also are like figuring out ways to justify it to themselves and kind of like loophole it. And and since they're not like on the grid and they're not dependent on the values of American society that they disagree with, and because there's actually like solar building, factories out in Amish country where they build solar panels now. And so if they like make their own solar panels and have their own solar panels providing all their own electricity in the house they built, to them it's not like they're not depending on the sinful American society for it. So
well, and also they
progress.
I lost it. Go ahead.
Okay, so
I live in the most conservative Amish community in the United States, and last week there was a car accident where a cart that was being used like an Amish school bus got hit by a semi truck, and this community. I mean, there was 2 stalls at the grocery store, and a lot of the stores had 2 stalls reserved for the Amish. And overnight, they kind of stopped driving the carts. They're getting rides. I don't know if they have arranged, but I've seen public transportation pick them up, and I think something clicked with them that they had to change some of their rules, because I'm seeing people giving them rides that aren't Amish, and it's just like overnight everything changed. And like I said, if it changes here, it'll change in all the others. This is the one they model after.
Where are you at? Where are you?
Old Wine, Iowa. The north side of the Amish is here in Old Wine. The south side is in Hazleton, Iowa. And like I said, this is the most strict set. They use solar for they take milk bottles, and they will cut bleach bottles. They cut bleach bottles, and they use them to collect solar power that doesn't make electricity, but they use it to heat their plants so they can plant stuff in their garden 3 months earlier.
I think
They stopped driving them carriages. I almost hit one too when I was driving. You know, he was out there at night. You know, it was late at night on 2-lane road, and I come around the corner and there he was. If there would have been something coming the other side, I would have put that buggy right up that horse's ass. I mean, there was just nowhere to go. And,
yeah, there were always a lot of those accidents in our area, but you know, it's the amount of traffic they have nowadays. You know, I mean, it's the amount that we're dealing with as opposed to, I mean, I'm talking about, you know, 70s, 80s. So it was a while back.
Yeah, where I live, they still have a lot of horse and buggies, but a lot of them have switched to bicycles now. And so you'll see them, and it'll be like the steepest hill you've ever seen, and you wonder how the heck their skinny Amish legs are getting up the hill, but somehow they can do it. Like you'll see like giant groups of Amish women all biking up the hill to go and get groceries, and then they'll bike down like later at the end of the day all together.
That's a good dietary camp, I'm thinking, right? Eat fresh food, bike a lot, and then just I mean that the buffet has to be fantastic because everything's as fresh can be.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and then it's just they're such a somewhat self-sufficient society, yet they live in a country that's pretty fucked up.
Yeah, they live in a country that depends on everybody else for everything. Like without China, we wouldn't have anything because we don't know how to make anything for ourselves here in America anymore.
No.
Like that's one thing that Russia has going for it with all of its sanctions is because no other countries are trading with them. They've had to become so self-sufficient. And if all the countries in the world were to stop trading with Russia, Russia would be perfectly fine because they have all their own factories that mass produce everything there for themselves.
Well, I'll tell you one thing.
Used to be like that.
If you ever need to find a hand tool, you know, rather than a power tool to do something, they're the general store. It's somewhere around Lancaster. It may not be it may be in Ephrata, but anyhow, there's a one hardware store where you can get any kind of hand tool that you ever could think of. And old style things, but newer versions of them because, you know, people in third world countries might still use them.
Are you thinking of Lehman's?
And craftsmen use them here, you know, but what's that?
Are you thinking of Lehman's? Is that the place you're thinking of?
Yes, Lehman's Hardware.
Yes, they are the world's greatest hardware store, and they're only about an hour drive away from where I live. And I was thinking about going there they're one of the only places in the world that still makes wood stoves that you use to heat your house and cook with. And so I was thinking someday whenever I build my house, I'll take a trip to Lehman's and get one of them.
That would be awesome.
Lopi makes one.
Do they?
Yeah, I used to have one. I used to have 2 levels. And the bottom level, we had our it was perfect. We built our double wide on the property we had, and we had one of those stoves. Our electric went out for like a week. We were able to cook on it, you know, and I mean we always had stuff like that. We'd instantaneously start having stew and stuff off of there. And then in the morning, if I used the top thing, it made perfect omelets. It never burned them. It made them perfect. And you went into one of those flip pans. It was, that was oh man. I firmly believe in being able to cook on top of your stove.
Yeah, me too. Like I think either a wood cooking stove, like wood stove you can cook on, or a rocket stove with a thermal mass heater is like the most efficient way to heat your house if you live in a cold climate.
Well, if it's small, see, I had the luxury of being able to get free wood. I got scraps off the job sites a lot of times, so I was able to go. I mean, hell, the last couple winters we didn't pay anything. I mean, I worked one job where I just had chunks of 4x12 or 6x12 blocks, timber blocks that we used to build a bridge deck. And they were all cut to perfect size. They just needed to be split. I stacked them all inside that little green Metro I had. I could fit a quarter cord of wood inside that thing, and if I jammed it all tight. And I mean to tell you, it was tight. And when I hit the brakes, I don't know if they were smoking, but I was real careful not to try to put them on too much and let myself coast down hills and downshift and stuff, because if I would have hit my brakes, it would have just crushed me. I would have just been crushed in the car because I had so much wood just inside of this car. But that's how I heated my house for a whole winter.
My Canadian grandparents, when they retired, they left Michigan and went back to Canada, and they lived out very, very rustic. I used to love going up there. They got maple syrup, tap the trees, and they added on to a really old log cabin, and so everything was heated with the wood stove. And yeah, it was. They were like 2 hours north of Toronto, was where they were, but. Yeah, it was very cool. You have to get used to living that way. I mean, it's, good ways into town, and, I think it was harder on them as they got older. It's not the greatest place to be when you're 80. It's hard to get out to the store, especially up there. I mean, it's so cold.
Well, let's put it this way. My wife, when we moved in this house, my wife got a gas insert. So if that gives you any idea how some people can love wood but not love having to deal with wood,
Yeah. But my grandpa, he would be out, oh my God, it was freezing, and he would be out in just these little coveralls chopping wood. And I'm there with like the moon boots and the snowsuit. I'm like, can we please go in? He's like, what, are you cold? No, it's just 20 below. I'm fine. But yeah, he was always doing that. Everything did himself. So anyway.
Okay, so there are no Amish in Southern California.
You've been really surprising.
Yeah, I know. I just thought you guys would get that news flash.
Oh
wow!
But
yeah, anybody?
Lehman's might ship to you.
They do. I'm sure they do. But when my grandfather had a 6-acre avocado ranch just south of here for 30 years. And when I was a kid, I used to go out and work with the Mexicans, and it was embarrassing because they would dig like 50 feet of trench within an hour, and I did like 12 feet. It was terrible. And I always tried to keep up with these guys. I just couldn't. But I was out there working. But before we had electricity, we had lamps. And there was already electricity everywhere. I mean, it was like the early 70s.
How old are you? No, I'm just kidding.
I'm 53.
I'm kidding.
So, but at a certain point, we had to get since we're talking about the past and stuff, we had to get the generator going, the little 5 horsepower generator to keep the lights on in the house so we could make popcorn and all this stuff. And we had the big a gas tank on the back, and I mean it was very primitive, but it was, as I've seen and watched YouTubes on the Amish, it's nothing compared to what these people are still doing, which is let's just imagine if we all did what they did. I mean, for a year. You? Could any of you?
It would definitely change everyone's perspective. I mean, I think that I could, as long as I had the materials and the physical capability. But like, I think that everyone kind of needs like that dose of reality, because like everyone in American society is so disconnected from real struggles, from real human beings. And like one of my favorite quotes from that guy I told you about a couple of nights ago, Rob Greenfield, is that the more convenient something is, that the more it means that the burden of that task has been outsourced to somebody else. And and like the whole fossil fuel things has made it so that in the modern day, the average American has on average 100, like the equivalent of 100 slaves at their beck and call. Because if you think about how difficult it would have had to be to go out and find something to burn so you have light in your house at night, you have to go out and get the fat of an animal and then render it down into an oil that you could have in a lamp, and you'd have to have the lamp made that you could put it in, or you'd have to have a torch with fuel, or you'd have to go out and collect wood for a fire. And, just a lot to go through. Whereas now all we have to do is go pay a few bucks and we can have all the light we want and all the wood we want and all the pencils we want and all the, everything we want basically.
Well, I'll tell you what, James, I'll go 50-50 with you. You're in Southern California. Go out and start pitching this idea for a TV show. We do call it it's like a reverse Rumpenschau. There's a word for the year that the Amish give young Amish for sort of going crazy, and they go crazy for like 1 year, and then they have a choice. That's it.
What do you call it? Type it.
Reverse. Say again.
Can you type it? Please type it.
That's it.
I think this is how you say it.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Rumspringa. Okay, I'm gonna look it up.
So like reverse Rumspringa, and so you do the. I've seen the Amish. They did a TV show with the real lives of the Amish kids on there. That was really goofy as hell. I mean, first off, Amish people aren't real crazy about having their pictures taken. True Amish that we knew didn't like that idea of people coming through and taking their pictures, and they really weren't crazy about pictures in particular. But the idea of doing a TV show with them was just those reality TV shows bring out the worst in people that have experienced half this crap that they put them through, let alone throwing these people into it that have some knowledge of it, but they're suddenly thrown in the middle of like California partying and stuff like that. And it's
I saw that.
That's really goofy. First off, you're taking these people and giving them like unbelievable beliefs of what it's like too. You don't have that sort of money to blow around like they do on that kind of TV show, or the chances in life that these people might get through a TV show. So it's not like that would happen to everybody that decided to just up and leave, and it's their right. I mean, I'm all for them being able to get out if they want to or whatever, but still, it's the idea of using them like that, I think, was sort of cruel.
Rumspringa is like from when you're age 16 to 18. They send you, and you can like go out and experience what the rest of the world lives like. And then whenever you're 18, you either have to decide to go out and live with Americans and be shunned from the Amish community, from your community forever, or you can come back and join the Amish community and not be, like secular, normal Americans.
So we should have the reverse. So we're going to have the reverse for them, for us.
Yeah, well, what we do is reverse them. It's a comedy. We write it up as a comedy. We get, I don't know, Pauly Shore.
Oh.
I don't know. No. You have like two different people. So you have like the Amish people and the English people, and they switch places for their year or 2 years, and then at the end of it, you always have the love affair and everything, and somebody decides to stay with the Amish, and somebody decides to stay with the English. Oh man, it's got all kinds of great possibilities, brother.
It would definitely sell, that's for sure.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll sell once people get crazy and all the drama. That'd be nuts.
We better copyright this, because if some producers are watching us right now, that probably steal our idea.
Yes, we know they
I'm
are.
worried about that. I'm worried about that. They often look to me for brilliant ideas.
Yeah. We're gonna get corporatized to it pretty soon, people. Just letting you know.
It's like Morgan Spurlock, the 30 days thing we were talking about. You could do it like that. Like we were saying, send well-to-do people out into a poor area, with nothing, and we can film that, see how they do.
Oh, they wouldn't last a day, a lot of them.
Right,
like send Baron and Ivanka out to like Compton. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, or
Just have him go out and build houses with Habitat for Humanity, like like a normal person. Like have them try getting their hands dirty and like having.
They wouldn't last. They wouldn't last 10 minutes. They would.
I mean, like drop you in the middle of Mississippi or whatever. That's funny, lemon. And like you have no money, you have no car, you don't. If you have a degree, you don't get to claim it. Like in other words, you start with like nothing, and let's see how you do.
Yeah, it's like we're gonna throw you in poverty and see if you survive.
Right. Because there have been some Congress people, I think, that have done like a 30-day, or maybe it wasn't that long, trying to live on food stamps for a month or something. And they had
that's not hard. I mean, I shouldn't say that, but I mean, like compared to like what they want to do, and like trying to get to understand the plight of like a poverty-stricken person. It's like food stamps is just a half of it, and it's like you can, if you don't have a lot of dietary needs, you can survive okay on food stamps, but like that's not necessarily what it means to be poverty stricken,
right?
Because poverty stricken is not having the opportunities. It's like anyone who goes through hard times can get on food stamps for a little while, but like if you're really poverty stricken, it's like them going on that, they'll never be able to understand. Right. But that's like that's why I like the idea of throwing them out with nothing to help them, because that's what happens to normal people.
Right. Yep. All right. Well, I think I'm about done for my neck starting to hurt. So, and
I'm good.
Long day.
Yeah, so I'm fairly fried myself.
Okay, so I just wanted to say one thing before we leave, and I always say I thank you and I appreciate everybody. And this is awesome.
You too.
Thanks.
Yeah, I dig it.
But I post you guys on my Facebook.
Oh, okay.
Oh, cool! Thank
you.
And
I think of course, I brag about it.
Get me on there. I check my Facebook like once every 2 months. Like I never check it.
Yeah, me either.
Yeah, I don't use mine.
But I do it because I want it to grow. I think we have some good information. Even though we talk about a couple of little odd things every once in a while. I think this is the American culture. I think this is important for people to know.
And
we need to have a marathon here at some point to do like a marathon, whatever speech, talkathon for and GoFundMe for whatever this chat thing it costs to run, so that we can keep it going. You know what I mean?
Yes. Good plan. Well, I think it's also fascinating how I think everybody's from somewhere different. Like we're all over the place.
True.
It's very, it's cool.
Yeah, I can Georgia, West Virginia, California. Kelly, you're in California? Yeah.
No, I'm in North Carolina.
Oh, North Carolina. Oh, far out. And then we're
all over.
Remember. Eric's from where?
Florida.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
I'm Ohio.
Ohio, okay.
Yeah,
we're in Ohio.
Kasich.
Where's Independent from? Is his mic working? Or his cell?
I think he went to bed.
Okay. All right, so listen, thank you guys very much. Okay, so if you guys ever get a chance to ask Bernie the question, ask Bernie the question, please. That's got to be one of the most important questions.
I think he would dodge it.
Yep.
Not going to go there right now.
And then, hey, what happened to, there used to be a lot of hype with Kim.com and Seth Rich. So I've been blowing up Kim.com's Twitter.
Yeah, good for you.
I made a picture of him with a bubble of him going like this or something, saying, Seth Rich, I just did it for likes. I think the guy did it for marketing purposes.
Yeah.
I don't really think he's got anything.
I don't know. He might, but it was definitely weird. I mean, you go to his page, a lot of people made the point that the statement he had was like at the bottom of his page with all this other stuff.
Yeah. I wasn't really anything. I kind of could tell that when I first saw it. He was kind of just selling himself and his ego.
Well, it was all sketchy what he said, what he asked for, like immunity to be able to come here and leave, and testify and
Never gonna happen.
all that. And the thing was, he didn't need to ask for that much. He could have just asked to be deposed where he is,
Yeah.
safe and sound.
Yeah, deposition.
Yeah, so I don't understand why that needed that. Why that was such a big sticking point for him. But whatever. I think it was to do a runaround, but that was I didn't. Thing was, you can't tell for sure. You never know.
Well, I'm blowing him up.
Anyhow,
calling this
good
time.
night, guys.
Anyway,
Good night.
Yeah, okay. Goodbye.
Bye, everyone. Have a wonderful
Aloha.
evening. Triggered.
Trigger.
Oh.
Are we off?
I think that